Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Astronomer. This is the space where science slows down, where we drift through the mysteries of the universe in a calm and soothing way. Tonight, we'll journey together through the cosmos, letting wonder guide us and gentle storytelling ease us toward rest. So settle in, breathe deeply, and let your imagination float among the stars. You close your eyes and imagine a silence deeper than any you have ever known. It is not the silence of a quiet night, not the pause between heartbeats, not even the hush of snow falling in the stillness of winter. This silence is different. It is a silence without place, without time, without before or after. You float in it as though drifting on an endless sea, but even the word sea feels too heavy, too formed. Here in this silence nothing has yet begun, and yet everything waits. You do not hear clocks, for there are no clocks. You do not see stars, for stars have not yet been born. You do not feel the pull of gravity, because space itself is still an idea, unshaped, unspoken. And yet, within this silence there is a kind of expectancy, like the hush in a theatre before the curtain rises. You sense that something is poised at the edge of becoming. The stillness is not empty, it is rich with the possibility of birth. Scientists sometimes speak of the singularity, a word that sounds sharp, almost unyielding. But you need not picture mathematics or equations now. Instead, think of a seed. Before a seed cracks open, it is small, quiet, hidden. And yet inside that shell lies the potential for an entire forest. Roots, branches, leaves, shade and fruit. The singularity is like that seed, holding within itself the possibility of everything. Every star, every planet, every life that will ever breathe. As you float in this silence, you feel the stillness press gently against you, like a velvet sky. It does not rush, it does not demand, it simply waits. You notice that time itself feels strange here. You may try to count, but numbers slip away like water through open fingers. For time has not yet unfolded. What you call a second, a minute, an hour, these are inventions born only after the universe has a rhythm, cycles, motions. Right now, there is no rhythm, no ticking, only stillness. And in this stillness, you begin to wonder, if there is no time, what does before even mean? Can there be a before when nothing yet flows? You realize that the question dissolves before you because before itself belongs to time. Here, there is only presence, a presence without measurement, without comparison. Physicists tell us that everything we know, space, time, matter, energy, was once pressed into something unimaginably small, smaller than the point of a pin, smaller than anything you can imagine. Not a dot floating in space, but a point beyond space where the very rules of place and distance do not yet exist. That is the mystery you rest within now, the not yet, the almost, the waiting. You feel how fragile this thought is, and yet how powerful. For within this stillness lies the origin of galaxies. Within this hush lies the birth of stars. Within this pause lies your own breath, your own heartbeat. You sense, too, that nothing is not quite nothing. Quantum physics whispers that even emptiness hums with potential, with fluctuations, with restless possibility. The silence you imagine is not barren, but alive in its own hidden way. It is like the silence of a winter field, where under the snow seeds wait, sleeping, holding the memory of the spring. And so you float not in emptiness, but in potential. You imagine the singularity as warm, dense, unmeasurable. But rather than focusing on its weight, you rest in its fullness. It is a fullness that does not yet know how to pour itself out, but soon will. The stillness feels long, but not lonely. It feels whole, as if the universe, in this moment before beginning, is complete in its own quiet way. You breathe slowly, deeply, in rhythm with its pause. You let yourself rest in the unspoken promise of what is to come. Sometimes people ask, why is there something instead of nothing? It is a question too large for any one answer. Some say the universe simply had to be. Some say it was born from fluctuations, from chance, from inevitability. Others say the question may not even make sense, for nothing is not stable, not permanent. And yet lying in this silence you realize you do not need the answer. The mystery itself is a kind of comfort. To not know is to let the universe remain wide, open, infinite in its depth. You picture yourself in a darkened hall waiting for a symphony to begin. The air is charged, though no note has been played. The musicians are silent, the instruments poised. that breathless pause before the first sound carries its own kind of music. The silence before the Big Bang is like that pause, the anticipation of a grand unfolding that will stretch across billions of years. You rest in that anticipation. You let it cradle you. The darkness is not frightening. It is tender, gentle, patient. It is the womb of all that will come. Your thoughts drift. You think of how one day stars will form, galaxies will spin, planets will gather, and on one small world life will rise. And yet, in this moment of silence, all of that is still sleeping, still waiting. You're with it in its sleep. You're part of its dreaming. The silence stretches, but it does not press. You float in it like a feather suspended in still air. You notice how calm your body feels when you imagine the universe not as an explosion, but as a deep breath held in, waiting to exhale. You imagine the first breath of the cosmos, a gentle sigh that will give rise to everything you know, and then, softly, you sense the change approaching. The silence does not end abruptly. It shifts, like the faintest glimmer on the horizon before dawn. You feel the promise of light, not yet seen, but near. The hush is no longer only stillness, it is also expectation. You are standing on the threshold of beginnings. The silence prepares to open. The seed prepares to sprout. The breath prepares to release. And as you wait, you know that the next chapter will not be silence at all. It will be light, breaking gently into the darkness like dawn after an endless night. The silence holds its breath, and you feel the first flicker forming, a spark that will break the darkness, a light waiting to bloom. The silence is deep, but within it you feel the first tremor of change. It is not a violent sound, not a thunderclap, but something softer, subtler, like the faint crack in a seed shell just before the green shoot emerges. The universe exhales, and in that breath the first flicker arrives. It begins small, too small to see, too small even to imagine, and yet you sense it, as if your mind catches the shimmer of something that was not there before. From the stillness, light stirs. Not the warm, golden light you know from the sun, not yet, but the most ancient light and the first. Imagine a vast darkness stretching everywhere, endless and still. Now picture a spark glimmering within it, like a firefly in the folds of midnight. That spark multiplies, weaving threads of brightness that lace through the void. It is delicate at first, fragile as the first candle flame in a storm, but soon it becomes a flood. This is not light falling into darkness. It is darkness itself giving birth to light. Space glows, filled with energy. What had been hidden now begins to reveal itself. You drift through this newborn glow. It does not dazzle you. It soothes. It is soft, not blinding, and it wraps around you as though you are floating in a warm tide. You let yourself rest in it, letting its calm brightness serve as to carry you further. Scientists call this moment the release of radiation, the spreading of photons, particles of light. These photons are the messengers of the newborn universe, carrying with them its story, its first whisper of existence. Every flicker you feel is not just brightness, but a record, a memory of creation written in light. You imagine each photon as a traveller, setting out on an endless journey. Some of them will travel for billions of years before meeting the eye of a creature, before being caught by a telescope, before being felt as warmth on a human face. Even now, as you breathe in the quiet of your room, some of that ancient light still reaches you, crossing ages to touch the present. The first flicker expands into a sea of brightness. Energy bursts outward, creating a glow that fills everything. You feel it like a soft hum, not in your ears but in your thoughts. The universe, once silent, now sings in light. And this light is not only beauty, it is also power. It pushes, it creates, it transforms. Within its warmth, matter and energy exchange endlessly, turning into one another in a cosmic dance. It is as if the universe itself has become a great glowing heart, beating with radiance, pulsing with possibility. You rest in the thought that without this light, nothing else could follow. The first stars, the galaxies, the planets, all depend on this early sea of brightness. You feel gratitude, as though this ancient light is not only a gift to the cosmos but a gift to you, carried across eternity. As you drift deeper into this glow, you imagine it not as harsh illumination, but as a soft dawn. Think of the way morning light seeps gently into a quiet room, Not rushing, not startling, simply spreading with patience. The first flicker of cosmic light is like that. The dawn not of a day, but of everything. Your body relaxes as you picture this first dawn. You imagine lying in a meadow before the first sunrise, watching the sky slowly shift from dark to pale. The horizon glows, and though the sun has not yet appeared, you know it is coming. In the same way, the first flicker of light carries the promise of all future brightness, the stars and suns yet to shine. In this glow, particles form and vanish, collide and combine. You see them as dancers, twirling, crossing paths, exchanging partners. They move with purpose, though no one has taught them steps. Out of their motion, structure emerges. Out of the light, order begins to take shape. And yet it is still a fragile balance. Too much or too little, and the dance would falter. But the universe holds steady, as though guided by an unseen rhythm. You feel that rhythm deep within you, like the beat of your own heart. You realize now that you are not separate from this light. Your body, your cells, your thoughts, all are written with its brightness. Every atom within you once passed through this fire. You are, in a quiet and literal way, made of this dawn. The thought comforts you. You are not an observer at the edge of creation. You are part of it, woven from the same light that first flickered here. You belong to the story, and the story belongs to you. As the glow spreads further, the universe begins to cool. What was once unbearable heat becomes gentler, calmer. Energy settles into form. Light continues its journey, streaming outward, filling space with memory. You picture it moving like ripples across a pond, never ending, always reaching. The flicker has become a flood, and the flood has become the background of everything. This glow will never truly vanish. Even billions of years later, even as stars burn and die, even as galaxies drift apart, the whisper of this first light remains. Scientists today call it the cosmic background, a faint afterglow of the universe's earliest moments. But here, in this chapter, it is still the beginning, still fresh, still new, and you rest within it, feeling its warmth. The silence of chapter 1 has become brightness, the darkness has given way to dawn. But as you drift in this first glow, you sense another change ahead. For light alone cannot hold the cosmos together. It must stretch, it must move, it must breathe. The universe is not meant to stay still, it is meant to expand, to grow, to carry everything outward. And so, at the edge of this glow, you feel the breath of something larger. The light does not stay confined, it rides on an endless expansion. The cosmos begins to open wider and wider, as though space itself is exhaling. You breathe with it slowly, deeply, and wait for the next unfolding. The glow surrounds you, but it does not stay still. It stretches, it spreads, it breathes outward, and soon you will drift with it into the universe's great expansion. The glow still surrounds you, soft and endless. You float within it, feeling its warmth brush against your thoughts like the lightest of breezes. The silence of before has already shifted into brightness, but now the brightness itself begins to move. You sense it first as a subtle ripple, almost too delicate to notice. Then it grows, not in speed, but in scope. The light stretches, the space around it swells, and suddenly you realize the universe is expanding. It is not expanding into something. There is no outside, no empty room waiting to be filled. Instead, space itself is being woven as it grows, as though the loom of reality is at work, spinning fabric from nothing but potential. This is hard to grasp, for in your daily life, expansion means spreading into an existing place. But here, expansion is the creation of place itself. Every moment brings more room, more distance, more possibility. You drift within this tide. It does not toss or tumble you. It lifts you gently like a slow, endless breath. The whole cosmos seems to inhale and exhale, though the rhythm is so vast, so steady you barely feel the motion. It is patient, deliberate, timeless. Scientists call this cosmic inflation. In the earliest instant, the universe grew faster than light, swelling in a fraction of a second to sizes unthinkable. Imagine holding a grain of dust in your hand, so tiny it almost vanishes against your skin. Then imagine that dust swelling to the size of a galaxy, faster than you can blink. That is the scale of this expansion, immense, sudden, and yet here in your meditation, soft and tender as a sigh. You rest in that thought. expansion is not chaos. It is order, a steady release. It is the universe stretching its limbs after an eternal sleep. The glow of light rides upon this expansion, spreading farther, filling every new corner with its warmth. You try to picture the galaxies you know today, the spirals and clusters, but they are not here yet. Right now, the expansion carries only the seeds of what will one day become galaxies. Tiny fluctuations ripple through the fabric of space like gentle wrinkles in a sheet. These wrinkles are small, but they matter. They are the places where matter will one day gather, where stars will ignite, where planets will spin, where life will wander. As you imagine this, you see yourself floating above a calm sea at dawn. The water ripples outward in circles, smooth and endless. Each ripple is like the expansion of space, a widening circle that has no center, no edge. Everywhere is the middle, everywhere is part of the whole. That is how the universe expands, not from one place, but from all places at once. No matter where you stand, it feels as though you are at the center, because the expansion belongs to everything. You let this image settle in your mind. It feels strange yet comforting that there is no edge to drift toward. There is only more space being born, always. Even now, billions of years later, the expansion continues. Galaxies drift farther from one another, carried on the same breath that began in these earliest moments. The breath is still moving through you. Each inhale you take feels linked to that cosmic sigh. Your chest rises and falls, and you feel as though your body is in rhythm with the expansion of the universe. You're not separate from it. You're carried within it. There is another detail, small but important. As the universe expands, it also cools. The searing heat of the earliest fire softens. Energy settles, matter stabilizes, and the glow grows gentler. This cooling is what allows particles to survive, to combine, to form the first atoms. Without expansion, there would only be fire and chaos. With expansion, there is balance and room to grow. Think of bread rising in the oven. The dough begins small, dense, heavy, but with heat it expands, lightens, takes shape. The air pockets give it texture, softness, room to be. The universe is like that dough, rising steadily, making space for the structures of stars and galaxies to form. You float within this rising, feeling no rush. Expansion does not hurry. It simply unfolds. Every breath of yours mirrors its calm release. The light you saw in Chapter 2 now spreads across these growing distances. Photons travel farther, filling the ever-widening sea of space. Imagine lanterns drifting across a river. At first they cluster together, bright and close, but as the river widens, the lanterns drift apart, each carrying its own glow, each becoming more distant. That is what the expansion does to light, stretches it, spreads it, softens it. And in this softening you begin to sense something profound. Expansion is not only about distance, it is also about possibility. Without expansion, the universe would remain locked in its initial state, too dense, too small, too hot. Expansion opens the way for complexity, for diversity, for wonder. It is the universe making room for stories, for every star, every creature, every moment of curiosity like the one you feel now. You close your eyes and imagine drifting farther, carried outward by the breath of expansion. You do not resist. You let it take you, gentle as a tide carrying a leaf. The further you drift, the more you realize how connected everything remains. Though space grows larger, though galaxies drift apart, they all share the same origin, the same first breath. The distance does not erase belonging, it only expands it. You wonder, will the expansion continue forever? Will the breath go on, endlessly exhaling? Or will there come a time when it slows, when it pauses, when it perhaps reverses into a long cosmic inhale? Scientists ponder these questions too, but for now no one knows. And in the not knowing you feel peace. The mystery is not a burden, 'tis a cradle. Your mind drifts again to your own breathing. Each inhale and exhale mirrors the cosmos. When you breathe in, you expand. When you breathe out, you contract. Both are part of the rhythm of life. Perhaps the universe too has its rhythm, vast, slow, immeasurable. Perhaps what you feel in your chest is an echo of that greater breath. The expansion continues steady and unstoppable. The fabric of space stretches, carrying with it the seeds of galaxies, the promise of stars. You rest in its vastness, letting the thought wash over you that everything you will ever know is contained within this expanding tide. You're not lost in it. You're part of it, inseparable, essential. And yet you sense the story shifting once more. Expansion has made space for matter to form, for light to travel, for structure to emerge. Now, the seeds planted in this fabric will begin to gather, to combine, to create the first building blocks of what will one day be worlds. The expansion continues, but within it, something new is stirring. You close your eyes, carried on the tide of growth. The universe has exhaled, space has stretched, light has spread. And now, within that space, the first seeds of matter are ready to take root. The universe expands, stretching farther and farther, and within that widening fabric something begins to settle. What was once only light and energy now slows just enough to allow matter to take root. You drift in the glow and sense tiny particles forming, delicate but determined. They are the seeds from which everything will grow. At first they are simple. Protons, neutrons, electrons, building blocks so small you cannot see them, yet their presence is undeniable. They move like sparks in the still warm air of the cosmos, colliding, joining, separating, then joining again. Their dance is restless, but purposeful. Each meeting carries the possibility of creation. You imagine them as glowing beads scattered across velvet night. Some beads click together, holding fast. Others drift apart, searching for new partners. Slowly, quietly, these beads assemble into something greater. Atoms. The first atoms of hydrogen and helium, the simplest elements, born from the cooling fire of the early universe. Hydrogen, the lightest, floats everywhere, abundant and gentle. Helium, a little heavier, joins in smaller amounts. Together they form the earliest matter. Not yet stars, not yet galaxies, but the foundation of all that will come. You let this thought rest in you. Every star that will ever shine, every world that will ever turn begins here with these tiny seeds. Think of a garden in spring. At first you see only soil, dark and plain, but hidden within are seeds, waiting patiently for the right moment. They are small, almost invisible, yet within them lies the promise of trees, flowers, fruit and shade. The early universe is that soil, and these atoms are its seeds. They do not bloom yet, but the promise of bloom fills the air. You drift closer in imagination, watching the first atoms hold together. They're fragile at first. Heat and collisions sometimes tear them apart, but the expansion continues, cooling the cosmos, giving atoms more chances to survive. With every passing moment, more seeds take root, more atoms endure. This process is called nuclear synthesis, though the word may feel heavy. For now, you need not think of equations or reactions. Simply imagine the universe as a great kiln, where heat shapes the simplest clay into lasting form. Out of the fire comes substance. Out of the glow comes structure. You realize that everything you know, your body, your breath, your bones, depends on these first atoms. Without hydrogen, there would be no water to fill oceans, no rain to fall, no rivers to flow. Without helium, stars would not burn in the same way. Their balance would be lost. These atoms are not abstract. They're intimately tied to you. You are, in a real and gentle sense, the flowering of these seeds. The vastness of space feels less empty now. With matter forming, there is weight, texture, possibility. The seeds drift widely, scattered across the expanding cosmos, waiting for gravity's hand to gather them. They are not yet organized, not yet stars or planets, but they hold the future in their smallness. Imagine holding a handful of seeds in your palm. To anyone else, they might look insignificant, dry, lifeless. But you know their secret. Given time, given care, they will grow into forests, into life itself. The atoms in this chapter are like those seeds. Simple, humble, yet infinitely powerful in their potential. You float among them, sensing their quiet persistence. They do not rush. They do not hurry. They simply exist, patient in their simplicity, waiting for the right conditions. The universe teaches you here the value of patience, of beginnings that take their time. As you drift, you notice that hydrogen dominates the scene, making up most of the matter. Helium follows behind, a quieter partner. In time, heavier elements will come, forged in the hearts of stars. But for now, it is enough that hydrogen and helium have formed, enough that seeds have been planted in the soil of space. The silence feels different now. It is no longer an empty silence, but a fertile one. A silence filled with potential, like a garden bed before the first green shoots break the surface. You rest in that silence, feeling comfort in its fullness. You breathe deeply, slowly, letting the thoughts sink in. Every molecule in your body, from the water in your blood to the oxygen in your lungs, traces back to this moment. You're not separate from these seeds. You're their continuation, their story unfolding. The expansion carries you further, scattering the atoms wider, but you know they remain connected. Invisible threads of possibility bind them, waiting for the pull of gravity to draw them into clouds, into stars, into galaxies. That gathering will come later. For now, the universe is planting. The seeds drift, glowing faintly in the soft light of the early cosmos. They do not yet know what they will become, but their destiny is already written in their form. Out of hydrogen and helium, the universe will one day weave the fabric of stars. Out of stars will come heavier elements, and out of those will come life. You feel the rhythm of inevitability in this, not as force, but as flow. The seeds do not struggle to be what they are. They simply are, and in being, they become everything. The chapter draws to a close, but the story is not finished. You rest with the seeds of matter, letting their patience calm you. They are not yet stars, but soon they will ignite. The silence will not remain silence forever. From these seeds, fire will bloom, and the first stars will light the sky. The seeds wait, scattered and patient. Soon, gravity will gather them, and fire will awaken. The first stars igniting in the endless night. The seeds of matter drift, scattered and patient. Hydrogen and helium, the simplest of elements, float like tiny lanterns waiting for the match to strike. They're quiet, humble, and yet full of promise. And then, slowly, something begins to happen. Gravity, gentle but persistent, takes its role. It gathers atoms into clouds, pulling them closer, closer still, until their collective weight becomes undeniable. What began as a thin mist of particles starts to collapse into denser and denser pockets. The universe, once only expansion and silence, now begins to fold matter into form. You imagine vast clouds swirling, drifting like veils of smoke across a cosmic stage. At first they are transparent, delicate, almost invisible, but gravity keeps pulling, keeps weaving. The mist thickens, folds over itself, clumps into knots. These knots grow heavier, pressing inward, until their very cores throb with hidden heat. And then, after long patience, the first stars are born. It is not a loud birth. There is no noise, for space is soundless. But you can almost feel the tremor as fusion begins. Atoms pressed so tightly in the heart of these new stars begin to merge. Hydrogen fuses into helium, and with that union, light bursts forth. Imagine the dark meadow of the early cosmos. For so long it has been only seeds resting in soil. Now, at once, blossoms flare open, glowing in the night. Each star is a flower of fire, a lantern igniting in the silence. Their light is ancient, and yet it feels immediate to you, as though it spills gently into your own eyes. The first stars are not like the sun you know. They are massive, far larger, burning hotter and brighter. Their lives are brief by cosmic standards, millions of years, not billions. But their brief blaze is necessary, for within their fire the first heavy elements are forged. These stars are the great alchemists of the universe, creating carbon, oxygen, iron, the building blocks that will one day form planets, oceans, trees, and your own body. You drift close to one of these first stars in your imagination. It burns blue-white, fierce and brilliant, its surface rippling with energy. The heat is beyond anything you can fathom, and yet, from your safe distance, it feels calming, like a hearth in the vast cold. You do not fear it. You simply watch as it glows. You realize that stars are not just fire, they are balance. Gravity presses inward, trying to collapse them further. Fusion pushes outward, releasing light and heat. The star lives in that balance, breathing in its own steady rhythm. If the inward pull ever won, the star would collapse. If the outward push dominated, it would scatter. But for now, it holds steady, a perfect harmony of forces. That balance feels familiar to you. You too live in balance, between breaths, between thoughts, between heartbeats. The star is a mirror, showing you the way balance sustains existence. Clusters of stars begin to form, gathering into the first galaxies. Imagine campfires scattered across a vast plain. Each fire burns alone, yet together they create a landscape of warmth and light. That is how the first galaxies appear, scattered, separate, but filling the universe with brightness. Their light travels outward, crossing the expanding fabric of space. Some of those photons will never meet an eye to see them. Others will journey billions of years before reaching the lens of a telescope. And still others, even now, arrive at Earth, whispering their ancient story into our instruments. But here, in this meditative drift, you feel their light immediately, as if it were shining just for you. You close your eyes and imagine the comfort of fire. Think of sitting near a campfire on a cool night, the flames steady, the sparks rising, the glow warming your skin. The first stars are that comfort, written large across the heavens. They are campfires in eternity, kindling not just warmth but also structure, direction, meaning. And as these stars burn, they are not silent in their work. They create endlessly. In their cores, atoms are fused into heavier and heavier elements. In their deaths, those elements will scatter, seeding the cosmos anew. The stars are gardeners as much as fires, planting iron for the blood in your veins, calcium for the bones in your body, oxygen for the air you breathe. Without them, the universe would be barren, empty of complexity. With them, it becomes alive with potential. You breathe slowly, letting this truth sink into you. You're made of stardust. Not as a metaphor, but as a fact. The atoms of your body, your cells, your very thoughts were once born in the fires of stars. The calcium in your bones was forged in a supernova. The iron in your blood once burned in a stellar core. Every breath you take is a continuation of that ancient alchemy. The thought is vast, and yet it is comforting. You belong not just to Earth, not just to life, but to the stars themselves. You are their child, their continuation, their memory. As you drift among these first stars, you feel both small and infinite. Small because their scale is beyond you. Infinite because you share their essence. The paradox does not trouble you. It soothes you, as though the stars themselves are whispering, "You are part of us. You are never alone." Galaxies continue to take shape, their spirals beginning to twist, their clusters forming bridges across the cosmos. The dark emptiness of Chapter 1 is now filled with light upon light, a soft tapestry of stars stretching forever. The universe has found its lanterns, and they will guide the way for everything to come. And yet, as you watch, you realize that even this moment is not the end. Stars, for all their brilliance, are not eternal. They are born, they live, they die. Some collapse into black holes, others scatter their elements across space. Their lives are cycles, not endings, feeding the soil of the universe for future generations of stars. The cosmos, you understand now, is a patient gardener. Seeds became atoms, atoms became stars. Stars will give rise to planets, and planets one day to life. It is a rhythm, slow and sure, each stage preparing the way for the next. You float quietly, watching the stars flicker in the vastness. They are young, yet ancient, fragile, yet eternal in their influence. Their glow reaches you, warming you, comforting you. And as you rest, you sense another layer of the story unfolding. Stars burn brightly, but they do not remain alone. They gather, drawn together by gravity's quiet hand into greater forms, galaxies. The next chapter of the universe is not about single lights, but about millions woven together, drifting in slow spirals. You close your eyes. The campfires of the first stars fade into the distance, and you feel the slow motion of entire galaxies beginning to stir. The stars glow, patient and steady, but soon they will gather into vast spirals, galaxies drifting like leaves upon a gentle, endless tide. The first stars burn, scattered like lanterns across a vast and growing night. They glow fiercely, each afire in the silence, but soon they begin to gather. Gravity, the quiet hand of the universe, reaches out again. It does not rush, it does not force. Instead, it guides, gently, patiently, pulling stars together into patterns far larger than any single flame. You imagine a slow dance unfolding. Stars, drawn by invisible threads, drift closer to one another, forming great swirls and clusters. At first, they seem like sparks floating freely in the dark, but gradually they trace out shapes, graceful arcs that stretch across space. These arcs are the beginnings of galaxies. A galaxy is not a single star, but a city of stars, billions gathered together, held in orbit by gravity's steady pull. You picture yourself standing in a meadow at night, looking out across a city's skyline. Each window glowing in the distance is like a star, one light among many. From afar, the city is one body, one shape. So too is a galaxy, a glowing city written across the fabric of the cosmos. The first galaxies are small, clumpy, irregular. They do not yet have the neat spirals or majestic ellipses you see in telescopes today. Instead, they are rough sketches, clusters of light slowly finding their form. But even in their imperfection, there is beauty. They drift gently, slowly turning, slowly merging, slowly becoming. You float among them in your imagination, moving as if on a tide. The galaxies are not hurried. Their motion is steady, almost meditative, as if they know there is all the time in the world, because there is. Billions of years stretch before them, and in that time they will evolve into the grand spirals and clusters we know today. Think of autumn leaves drifting on a pond. Each leaf swirls lazily, carried by the faintest ripple. Some circle one another, coming close before drifting apart. Others gather together, clumping into patterns, forming rafts of colour. That is how the galaxies move, like leaves upon the still water of space. Their light travels outward, reaching across unfathomable distances. Some of it will never meet an eye, never touch a planet, yet it still shines, quietly, faithfully, as if it has no need of being seen. You imagine that light brushing gently across you, faint but soothing, like the glow of a candle seen from far away. You notice too the great spaces between galaxies. Though they cluster in places, they are separated by vast oceans of dark, distances so wide the human mind struggles to grasp them. And yet, in this meditation, you do not feel lost. The space between is not emptiness, but peace. It is the pause between notes in a symphony, the silence that gives meaning to the sound. Each galaxy is unique. Some are spirals, their arms unfurling like ribbons. Some are ellipses, smooth and rounded. Others are irregular, wild in their shapes, like sketches drawn in the dark. Yet all of them share the same essence. Countless stars bound together, moving in harmony. Within each galaxy are billions of suns, and around many of those suns, planets will one day circle. Some planets will remain barren, silent. Others may grow oceans, atmospheres, forests, and perhaps even life. But that is still far ahead in the story. For now, you rest in the galaxy's slow motion, letting their graceful drift calm your own thoughts. You close your eyes and picture one spiral galaxy in particular. Its arms curve outward, glowing faintly, filled with stars. If you could step outside of time, you would see those arms turn like a slow wheel, completing a single rotation in hundreds of millions of years. To human eyes it seems still, motionless. But to the universe, it is alive with movement, with rhythm. This rhythm is not rushed. It is not frantic. It is the rhythm of eternity, unhurried and sure. You feel it in your own breathing, steady and calm. Each inhale is like a star's orbit, each exhale like a spiral arm unfurling. You're not separate from the rhythm, you're part of it. Galaxies gather into groups, then into clusters, then into superclusters, forming vast webs of light stretched across the cosmos. When you imagine the universe from afar, you see it as a great tapestry, glowing threads woven into patterns too large to hold in one glance. The galaxies are the stitches, the points of light, connected by gravity's invisible thread. And yet, even in such grandeur, there is quiet. The galaxies do not hurry. Their paths are measured in billions of years. Their collisions, when they come, unfold so slowly that even destruction feels like creation. Two galaxies may merge, their stars passing through one another like dancers brushing sleeves in a slow waltz. The result is not chaos, but a new form, a new pattern, a new city of stars. You realize how different this perspective is from daily life. On Earth, time often feels sharp, rushed, fleeting. But here, among galaxies, time is expansive. It stretches wide, giving everything room to unfold without urgency. You breathe deeply, taking in this sense of cosmic patience. The galaxies continue their slow drift, and you continue to float among them. Their light fills you with a sense of belonging. You're not merely watching from outside, you're made of their stars, their dust, their elements. The galaxies are not distant strangers. They're your home, your ancestors, your kin. And though the galaxies are vast, they're also tender. Their glow is not harsh but soft, not piercing but calming. Each one is a lantern in the night, and together they form a constellation so large it wraps the entire cosmos in gentle light. As you drift farther, you sense another layer of the story. Stars and galaxies move not only through space, but through time. Their rhythm depends on time's flow, on the steady progression of seconds and years. Without time, the galaxies could not turn, stars could not burn, and you could not breathe. Time, as much as space, is the fabric on which the universe is written. The galaxies swirl quietly, like leaves upon the water, but now you feel the undercurrent of time pulling through them. It is gentle, steady, unstoppable. You're ready to follow it, to rest in its flow. The galaxies drift in silence, their spirals turning slowly, endlessly, and within their motion you begin to sense the deeper rhythm, the flow of time itself, steady and unbroken. The galaxies drift in their spirals, slow and serene, their motion almost imperceptible across human lifetimes. You watch their arms unfurl, their stars circle, and you begin to sense the deeper current that allows such motion to exist. It is not gravity alone, not light, not matter. It is something more subtle, more universal. It is time. Time has been present since the universe's first breath, but here, among galaxies, you feel its rhythm more clearly. It is the quiet metronome of existence, the steady pulse that carries all things forward. Without it, there would be no unfolding, no growth, no story. Stars would not burn, rivers would not flow, your own heartbeat would not continue. Time is the fabric in which everything is written. At first, you try to picture time as you know it. Seconds, minutes, hours, the ticking of a clock, the turning of a page. But those are human measures, small and local. Out here, time flows differently. It is vast, smooth, unbroken, stretching across billions of years. Galaxies measure their rotations not in hours, but in hundreds of millions of years. Stars measure their lives in billions. Time, in this cosmic scale, is not hurried. It is patient. You imagine a great river, wide and calm, flowing without end. The galaxies are boats upon its surface, carried gently downstream. You, too, are carried on this river, though your journey feels shorter, more fleeting. Yet the current is the same for all. Galaxies, stars, people, all are borne along by the same steady flow. Scientists describe time as inseparable from space, woven into a single fabric called space-time. You do not need the equations to feel it. Picture a vast, endless sheet stretching in every direction. Upon this sheet, stars and planets rest, bending it gently under their weight. Space gives the universe its stage, and time gives it its rhythm. Together they form the stage and the music of existence. You rest in that thought, letting it calm you. Time is not an enemy. It is not rushing you forward, nor stealing from you. It is carrying you as gently as a current carries a leaf. You do not have to fight it. You need only float to breathe with its flow. As you drift, you realize that time is experienced differently, depending on where you are, how you move, how gravity holds you. Near the surface of a star, time slows. Far from all masses, it runs faster. A clock on Earth ticks at a slightly different rate than a clock high above in orbit. This is the relativity of time, discovered by Einstein. It is not fixed, not absolute, but flexible, bending and stretching like the fabric it belongs to. And yet for you, here and now, time feels steady. Your breath rises and falls in rhythm with it. Your heartbeat keeps pace with it. The galaxies drift to its current. It may bend and stretch, but its flow remains. You're never outside of it, never without it. It cradles you in its arms, carrying you forward, always forward. You picture yourself lying in a meadow watching clouds move across the sky. Sometimes they drift quickly, sometimes slowly, but they always move. That motion is like time, sometimes rushing, sometimes stretching, but always present. You're not separate from it. You're one of its clouds, drifting gently in its sky. The stars you see in the night are time's storytellers. Their light takes years, centuries, millennia to reach you. When you look at them, you're not seeing them as they are now, but as they were long ago. Each star is a window into the past, a message carried across time's river. You rest in the wonder of it, that to look outward is also to look backward, to see history written in light. The galaxies swirl, their stars orbiting in patterns that take eons to complete. Time allows such motion to exist, gives it meaning. Without time, the galaxy would be frozen, silent, lifeless. With time, it becomes a dance, slow and beautiful, each orbit part of an eternal rhythm. Your own life feels small in comparison, a brief flicker, but that does not make it less meaningful. You're part of the rhythm, part of the flow. The seconds of your breath are as real, as valid, as the billion-year turns of galaxies. Scale does not diminish significance. The river carries all equally. You take comfort in this. You're not racing against time, you're moving with it. Each breath you take is time flowing through you, not around you. Each moment is not lost but lived, experienced, part of the current. The thought calms you further. Time is not something to resist. It is something to embrace, to trust. Just as the universe expands in patience, just as galaxies drift in slow motion, so too does your life unfold in its rhythm. You do not need to rush. You need only breathe and let the river carry you. As you rest in this rhythm, you feel time's quiet embrace. It does not speak in words, but in pulses, in cycles, in flow. The beating of your heart is one voice of time. The orbit of the Earth around the Sun is another. The turning of the galaxy, yet another. Different scales, one rhythm. And still, you sense that time itself holds a memory. The earliest light still lingers. The afterglow of creation still whispers across space. Time does not erase. It carries. Every moment once lived is woven into its fabric, part of the river forever. You too are part of that fabric. The galaxies swirl, the river flows, and you feel the next part of the journey approaching. For time is not only flow, it also holds echoes. The early light of the universe, released billions of years ago, still glows faintly, quietly, everywhere. It is called the cosmic background, and it is the memory of the first dawn. You breathe slowly, ready to follow the current deeper into that lingering glow. The river of time carries you gently forward, and within its flow you begin to sense a faint ancient glow, the quiet memory of the universe's first light, still shining today. Time carries you forward, gently, like a river that never ends. You have watched galaxies drift and stars ignite, all under the steady pulse of that current. But now, as you float deeper into the cosmos, you begin to notice something else, something subtle, quiet, yet everywhere. It is a glow, faint but persistent, filling every corner of space. It is not the fierce light of stars, it is not the blaze of galaxies. This glow is older, softer, more ancient than either. It is the universe's memory of its own first dawn. Scientists call it the cosmic microwave background. But here, in your slow journey, you simply feel it as a whisper of light, still humming after billions of years. Imagine the sound of a bell long after it has been struck. At first the tone is loud, ringing, sharp, but as moments pass the sound softens, stretches, becomes a faint hum in the air. Even when it is almost gone, your ear still catches its presence. The cosmic background is like that bell's fading note. The universe rang with the Big Bang, and though the great explosion has long since passed, the hum remains, still vibrating across space. You close your eyes and picture this glow. It does not shine brightly like the sun. Instead, it is a dim warmth, like embers cooling in a fire pit, soft orange fading into deep red. It is not enough to dazzle you, but enough to comfort you, like a blanket wrapped around your shoulders on a cool night. This glow fills all of space, without exception. No matter where you drift, no matter what galaxy you pass, the background is there, steady and even. It does not come from one place, but from every place at once. It is the echo of a time when the universe itself glowed like a great fireball, before stars, before galaxies, before the darkness fully settled. Billions of years ago, when the universe was young and dense, light could not travel freely. The sea of particles was too thick, too crowded, like fog that blocks headlights. Photons scattered endlessly, unable to move far without being stopped. But as the universe expanded and cooled, it thinned out. The fog lifted. Light could finally travel unhindered. That moment is the one you are feeling now. The release of the first free light, still journeying across space even now, still brushing against your skin as you imagine this quiet scene. The thought humbles you. That faint radiation, that gentle glow, has been travelling for nearly 14 billion years. And yet, it is still here, still present, still measurable. When scientists build sensitive instruments, they can see it as a soft pattern across the sky. Not perfectly even, but gently speckled, like a quilt stitched with tiny variations. Those speckles are clues, imprints of the earliest ripples in the universe, the seeds of galaxies, the beginnings of structure. But for you, lying here in thought, you do not need the instruments. You feel the glow as presence, as atmosphere, as memory. It surrounds you, calms you, tells you quietly that the universe remembers its birth. You breathe deeply, slowly, as if inhaling that memory. You let it fill your chest with warmth, not the warmth of fire, but the warmth of knowing that even emptiness carries echoes. Space is not silent void. It hums with history. Imagine yourself lying in a quiet room. The lights are dim, and in the background a soft melody plays. It is not loud, it is not insistent, but it is constant, soothing, filling the space with gentleness. That is what the cosmic background is, a melody of light, too soft for human eyes alone, but always playing. You let that melody carry you. It does not hurry, it does not demand, it only persists, steady, endless. You feel yourself drifting deeper into calm, as though the glow itself is a lullaby meant for you. The background is also a reminder of connection. No matter where you are in the universe, you will find it. A distant galaxy, a lonely planet, the void between clusters, everywhere the same faint glow. It is the one constant ski beneath which all galaxies rest. You are never separate from it. You are always wrapped in its light. And within this quiet constancy, there is meaning. The variations in that glow, the tiny sekirs, the faint ripples, hold the map of the universe's earliest days. They show where matter was slightly denser, where galaxies would eventually form, where emptiness would stretch. It is as though the cosmos left a diary written in radiation, one that scientists still read today. But here, for you, it is not a diary to decipher, but a blanket to rest beneath. The thought is soothing. The universe does not forget. Its earliest moments are not lost. They linger, whispering still, carried forward by light itself. In that sense, nothing is ever truly gone. Every breath, every moment, every heartbeat leaves its echo. You two are woven into time's fabric, your story written in the subtle background of existence. You rest more deeply now. The glow surrounds you, soft as twilight. You imagine it brushing across your skin, gentle as the warmth of sun through a window. It is not overwhelming, it is not sharp, it is simply present, steady, unbroken. And as you float in this light, you realize the story is still moving forward. The background glow is memory, but memory is not all there is. The seeds of matter, the glow of radiation, the birth of stars, all these prepare the way for the next step. The universe will not remain a glowing ember forever. Gravity will continue its patient work, shaping, pulling, gathering. Out of the glow, structures will form. Out of the background, galaxies will grow. You breathe with this thought. The glow comforts you, but it also reminds you that change is always unfolding. Memory remains, but new chapters are written. The universe is not static. It is alive, becoming more with every breath of time. You let the glow fade gently in your mind, not as disappearance, but as settling into the background where it belongs. You are ready now to follow the story into its next stage, the gathering of matter, the embrace of gravity, the shaping of worlds. The glow lingers, steady and soft, but within it you begin to feel another presence, the quiet hand of gravity, drawing matter together, shaping the next chapter of creation. The faint glow of the cosmic background still surrounds you, a memory of the universe's first light. It hums softly, constant, wrapping you in warmth. Yet within that glow you begin to notice another presence. Not light, not sound, but a pull. It is subtle, invisible, and yet it shapes everything. This is gravity, the quiet hand of the cosmos. Gravity is not a voice that shouts, it is a whisper that never stops. It does not rush, but it never ceases. Patiently, over millions and billions of years, it gathers matter together, guiding particles, stars, and galaxies into form. You feel it not as weight, but as embrace. Imagine standing in the arms of someone who holds you without squeezing, without pressing, only surrounding you with steadiness. That is gravity's way. It is not harsh. It is not cruel. It is gentle guidance, the invisible thread binding everything to everything else. Without gravity, the universe would remain a scattered sea of particles. Hydrogen and helium would drift endlessly, never finding one another, never igniting into stars, and galaxies would never take shape. Planets would never form. You would not exist. Gravity is the quiet architect, patient and tireless, drawing the seeds of matter into gardens of light. Picture the first clouds of gas after the background glow faded. They floated freely, like mist across a valley. Left alone, they might have remained thin and scattered forever, but gravity pulled gently at their edges, drawing them inward. Slowly, over countless years, those clouds thickened, condensed, and ignited as stars. The same force that keeps your feet planted on Earth also holds galaxies together. It is astonishing to think of the unity in that. The same gravity that tugs at your body when you walk down a hill is the very force that keeps billions of stars bound in a spiral. You're small, yet you are woven into the same laws that guide the cosmos. You let that thought settle in you. Gravity is not something apart from you, it is within you, acting on you always, pulling gently toward the center of the Earth, tethering you to the planet as it spins through space. You do not notice it most of the time, but it is always there, always faithful. Imagine dust settling in a sunbeam. The particles drift lazily, and yet given enough time, they will find one another. They will clump, they will grow, they will form something larger. This is gravity's patient work. No hurry, no noise, only inevitability. You picture entire galaxies shaped by this hand. Their spirals are not accidents, but the natural outcome of billions of stars orbiting under gravity's influence. The shape is not forced, it emerges, as if written by the invisible hand of balance. You rest in the realization that gravity is less about control and more about connection. It ties the cosmos together, linking stars to galaxies, galaxies to clusters, and you to the Earth beneath you. It is the thread that keeps the fabric from unraveling. The thought soothes you. You are held. Even as you drift in imagination through the wide, expanding universe, you are never untethered. Gravity holds you gently, reminding you that you belong, that you are connected. Scientists often describe gravity as the warping of space-time, mass bending the fabric of the universe so that other masses follow its curves. Picture a heavy ball resting on a soft sheet. Place smaller balls nearby and they roll toward the dip. The ball does not reach out to pull them. The sheet itself is curved, guiding their paths. That is gravity, not a force reaching across space, but the shape of space itself. And so you realize gravity is not external. It is not something acting upon the universe. It is the universe's own way of shaping itself. It is geometry written in motion, the fabric curving around mass, guiding it gently into patterns. The quiet hand of gravity does more than gather. It also steadies. Planets orbit stars because of its pull, not falling inward, not flying outward, but circling endlessly in balance. Moons orbit planets, held in their embrace. Tides rise and fall with the moon's pull on oceans. Even your own body is shaped by gravity. Your bones, your muscles, your balance, all adjusted to its steady tug. And as you reflect on this, you feel how intimate gravity is. It is not only cosmic, it is personal, it shapes galaxies, yes, but it also shapes you, every moment of your life. It connects the vast and the small in one unbroken law. The galaxies you saw in the last chapter spin because gravity holds them together. The stars within them burn because gravity pressed their matter tight enough to ignite. The planets that will form will do so because gravity gathers dust into worlds. Step by step, it is the hand that builds. You float in this awareness, calm and grounded, even as you drift through the imagination of space. The invisible embrace of gravity is with you always, steady, unyielding, comforting. But as you rest in this thought, another question rises. Gravity gathers, shapes, connects. But what of the spaces where there seems to be nothing? What of the silence before beginnings, or the puzzle of nothingness itself? You begin to sense the next mystery waiting at the edge of your thoughts, just beyond the reach of gravity's hand. Gravity holds the cosmos gently together, yet in its embrace you wonder, what of nothingness itself? What lies before beginnings? And what does nothing truly mean? Gravity has guided you, shown you its quiet embrace, its patient weaving of stars and galaxies. You feel held, steady, part of the fabric. And yet, as the calm of that thought lingers, another question rises in your mind, delicate, elusive, almost impossible to grasp. What lies beyond? What came before? What does it mean to speak of nothing at all? The word nothing seems simple at first. You imagine an empty room, silent, bare. But even that room has walls, space, air, perhaps dust floating in the stillness. It is not truly nothing. Your mind reaches further, a blank void, no walls, no air, no dust. Yet even that image holds something, the idea of space itself. Pure nothingness slips away the moment you try to picture it, like mist dissolving in morning light. Scientists wrestle with this puzzle as well. Did the universe emerge from nothing, or was there always something, even if different from the universe we know? Some theories suggest a quantum vacuum, not truly empty, but a restless sea of fluctuations, tiny bursts of energy appearing and vanishing. Others imagine cycles, where universes expand and collapse, one giving rise to another in an eternal rhythm. Still others wonder if the question itself may not make sense, because time itself began with the universe. If there was no before, then asking what came before may be like asking what is north of the North Pole. You let these ideas drift through you without clinging. The puzzle is not a problem to solve, but a mystery to rest within. Just as you once rested in silence before the first light, you now rest in the possibility that nothingness may not be emptiness, but something subtler, something beyond your grasp. Imagine standing on a shoreline at dusk. The horizon stretches out, fading into haze. You cannot see where the sea ends or the sky begins. You only sense the blur, the in-between, the edge of perception. Nothingness feels like that horizon, always there, always beyond reach, always dissolving the closer you step. The mind longs for answers, for beginnings, for roots. Yet the universe may not offer them in the way you expect. To say the cosmos began from nothing might mean it began from no familiar state, no ordinary material. Or it may mean that the concept of beginning itself dissolves when time has not yet started. You feel the strangeness of this, and yet you are not unsettled. The mystery is not frightening, but calming. To know that some questions have no final answer frees you from needing to solve them. You can let the thought drift like a cloud, present but weightless. Some philosophers suggest that nothing is not the absence of everything, but the absence of structure, of form. In that sense, the seed of the universe may have rested in a state without pattern, without distinction, until suddenly it blossomed into something. Others suggest that nothing is unstable, that emptiness cannot remain empty but always fluctuates, always gives rise to something. In this view, nothing naturally blooms into something, as inevitable as dawn following night. You breathe slowly, letting the paradox settle. Nothingness is the source of everything, the emptiest emptiness giving birth to galaxies, stars, and your own heartbeat. It is a thought so vast that it loops back into simplicity, like a circle closing on itself. Imagine a blank canvas. At first it seems empty, but its very emptiness invites a brushstroke. Without that blankness, no picture could ever appear. The nothingness before the universe may be like that, not absence but possibility, the pure openness that allows creation to occur. You close your eyes and drift into that openness. It feels like floating in still water, without direction, without edges. There is no sound, no motion, no anchor. And yet in that openness, you feel cradled. Nothingness, instead of being harsh or cold, feels tender, gentle, like a silence that holds rather than denies. The cosmic background you felt earlier was a memory of light, a record of beginnings, but this nothingness carries no record. It is not history. It is the womb before history, the space before story. Resting here, you are reminded that not everything must be understood. Some mysteries exist simply to remind you of wonder. You think again of the bell. When struck, it rings, its sound filling the air. But before the strike, there is silence. That silence is not empty, it is the readiness for sound. In the same way, the silence before the universe may not be nothing, but readiness, potential, the waiting pause before the music begins. You breathe into this image, feeling the stillness in your body. Your chest rises and falls. The room around you is quiet. For a moment, you sense the parallel between your breath and the universe's pause before beginning. Both carry silence that is not absence but preparation, awaiting fullness. The puzzle of nothingness remains unsolved, perhaps unsolvable, but that is its gift. It invites you to rest in unknowing, to let go of the need for final answers, and simply to marvel that anything exists at all. The stars, the galaxies, the atoms, your own thoughts, all flow from a mystery deeper than comprehension. And yet the story continues. From the puzzle of nothingness arises not despair but gratitude. For whatever its source, the universe is here, alive, unfolding, carrying you within it. That alone is enough. That alone is wonder. As you rest with this thought, you sense the river of time carrying you forward again. The puzzle of nothingness fades into background silence, and before you lies the next question, the next flow, not of absence but of presence. If the universe is here, alive, then how does its energy move? How does it sustain itself, transform and endure? You breathe gently, ready to follow the story onward, from the quiet mystery of nothingness into the flowing current of energy itself. The silence of nothingness cradles you, but soon the quiet shifts into motion, into flow. Energy stirs, steady and eternal, carrying the cosmos onward. The puzzle of nothingness lingers like mist on the horizon, tender and unresolved. You breathe within its silence, and as the quiet softens, something begins to move. It is not matter gathering, not stars burning, but something more fundamental. It is energy, the pulse that flows through everything, the rhythm that never stops. Energy is not a single thing but a continuum. It moves through the universe like a river, shifting forms but never vanishing. The law is simple yet profound. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change. That law has carried the universe since its first breath, and it carries you now as surely as your lungs carry air. You picture this energy as a current, endless and calm. It pours from the fires of stars, flows through the pull of gravity, drifts as light across space, rests as warmth in your body. When one form ends, another begins. The star that burns eventually scatters, but its energy lives on in the atoms it releases, in the heat it shares, in the light that travels outward forever. Imagine a flame. It burns brightly, but the energy is not lost when the flame dies. The heat warms the air, the light travels into the night, the ashes hold chemical bonds. The flame transforms, but it does not vanish. The universe is like that flame, endlessly changing, endlessly moving, endlessly conserving. You let this thought soothe you. Nothing is ever truly gone. Energy persists, patient and eternal. Even when stars collapse, even when galaxies drift apart, the total energy of the cosmos remains. It is not destruction you see in the universe, but transformation. Scientists call this the conservation of energy. The phrase may sound dry, but here, in this calm meditation, it feels like a promise. Nothing you are, nothing you love, nothing that exists will ever truly be erased. All is carried forward, reshaped, reformed, renewed. You think of your own body. The food you eat is sunlight transformed. Plants capture energy from the sun, holding it in bonds of sugar and starch. You take that energy in, releasing it in warmth, in thought, in movement. Each breath you exhale carries the trace of ancient starlight, passed along an invisible chain. You are not separate from the cosmic river of energy. You are part of its flow. Imagine lying beside a stream. The water trickles past, never pausing, never ending. Each drop is replaced by another, yet the stream is always there, always flowing. Energy is like that stream. The forms you see may change, star into dust, dust into planet, planet into life, but the flow itself continues without end. And it is not only in grand cosmic scales. The hum of energy is with you now, in the rhythm of your breathing, in the quiet warmth of your skin, in the spark of thought across your mind. Your body is not separate from the universe's energy, but a continuation of it, a vessel through which it moves. You rest in the comfort of this continuity. Energy is the universe's promise that nothing is wasted. Every photon, every particle, every heartbeat finds its place in the flow. Even when forms dissolve, the current continues. Some of this energy travels as light, racing outward across space. Some rests as heat, warming planets and stars, and pulls as gravity, bending space-time itself. Some hums invisibly as potential waiting to unfold, and within all of it, the law remains steady. Nothing is lost, everything transforms. You breathe slowly, matching your inhale and exhale to this truth. Each breath is a transformation. Oxygen becomes fuel, fuel becomes warmth, warmth becomes thought. Your very life is energy changing form, second by second. You are the river. The thought expands as you drift outward in imagination. Stars blaze, releasing energy into the void. Their light streams outward, brushing across worlds, igniting life, sparking growth. Even when those stars fade, their energy remains in the atoms they leave behind. In the warmth they release into space. Nothing is lost. Everything continues. This continuity is comforting, like the steady ticking of a clock that never stops. But unlike a clock, it is not mechanical. It is alive, dynamic, adaptive. It flows into new forms with grace, never clinging, always moving. You rest in its patience, letting its eternal promise calm your mind. You think of music, each note fades, but the energy of sound moves into air, into vibration, into memory. The song continues even as each note passes. The universe too is a song of energy, one without beginning or end, only transformation, only continuity. And yet, as you float in this river of energy, you sense that there is more to the story. Energy does not only flow, it also builds. It creates order and structure, even as it disperses. From the current of energy, stars are sustained, galaxies are lit, life is kindled. Energy is the motion of the universe, but is also its creativity. The thought stirs you gently, not into urgency, but into curiosity. Energy flows endlessly, but what stories does it carry? What messages does it write in the stars, in the light that travels across space? Perhaps the next chapter lies not only in the flow, but in the storytellers of that flow, the stars themselves, radiant and eternal in their message. You breathe once more, deeply, calmly, ready to follow that story onward. The river of energy moves on, unbroken and eternal, and within that flow the stars begin to speak, telling their story in light across the cosmos. The river of energy flows on, unbroken, and within it stars emerge as its brightest voices. They are not silent flames scattered across the void, they are storytellers, speaking in light. Every photon they release is a word, a sentence, a message written in the oldest language of the cosmos. You gaze into this night of imagination, and the stars look back at you. Their light has travelled for years, centuries, even millennia to reach your eyes. What you see in them is not their present, but their past, a glimpse into history carried across space. To look at a star is to look at memory, to receive a story written long before you were born. Each photon is a traveller. Imagine a tiny messenger, leaving the surface of a star, carrying with it the heat of fusion, the fingerprint of its origin. It journeys outward, through space that stretches endlessly, passing planets, drifting past clouds of dust, skimming the edges of galaxies. After an impossible distance, that photon meets your eye. It lands gently on your retina, igniting a spark in your vision, and you become part of the story it carries. This is how stars speak, not in sound, but in light. Not in moments, but in journeys. The light you see tonight may have left its star before the first civilizations rose, before your ancestors dreamed beneath these same skies. In this way, the stars are not only above you, they are within your history, your lineage, your breath. You imagine them as voices calling softly across the dark. One says, "I was born in a nebula, carved from dust and fire." Another whispers, "I have burned for billions of years, steady and faithful." Another sighs, "I am dying, my light fading, but my elements will seed new worlds." Each star tells its tale in its glow, and together they weave a chorus across the universe. You rest in that chorus, hearing not noise but harmony. The stars do not compete, they sing in unison, each adding its part. Their combined light forms the soft glow of the Milky Way, a river of memory stretching across the night. That glow is the story of billions of suns stitched together in a tapestry of light. Science gives names to their tales. The colour of a star's light reveals its temperature. The spectrum of its glow reveals its composition, its age, its destiny. To study starlight is to read their autobiography written in wavelengths instead of words. But here, as you rest, you need not think of instruments or measurements. You can simply let their stories wash over you like lullabies sung across eternity. You think of the North Star steady in the sky, guiding travellers for centuries. Its light is a message of constancy, a reminder that even in vast change some things hold steady. You think of Betelgeuse, glowing red and near the end of its life, a reminder that even stars fade, and that endings too are part of the tale. You think of the sun itself, your closest star, telling you each day through its warmth, "I sustain you, I hold you, I am your home." The stories of stars are not just their own, they are also yours. The carbon in your body, the oxygen you breathe, the calcium in your bones, all were forged in stars long before Earth existed. When you listen to their stories, you hear echoes of yourself. You're not just an observer of starlight. You are its continuation. You are, quite literally, a paragraph in the same story. Imagine sitting beside a fire. The flames crackle, their warmth reaching your skin, their sparks rising into the night. Around that fire, stories are told of ancestors, of journeys, of beginnings. The stars are that fire, and you are sitting around it, listening as they share the oldest stories of all. Their sparks are photons, rising endlessly, carrying tales into the universe. You breathe deeply, slowly, as you let those tales sink in. You are comforted by their age, their patience. Stars do not rush their stories. They speak across billions of years, each light a word stretched across time. To listen is to rest in their scale, to feel the luxury of slowness. The night sky is often described as silent, but now you sense it is full of voices. Each star contributes, each glow is a sentence, each constellation a chapter. Orion speaks of hunting and journeys. Cassiopeia tells of beauty and pride. The Milky Way whispers of abundance, of countless suns and countless worlds. And within those worlds may be listeners like you, eyes turned upward, hearts open to the same chorus of starlight. Perhaps, far across the galaxy, another being gazes into the same glow, feeling the same comfort. The stars are not just storytellers, they are connectors, weaving together all who listen under their light. You rest in this thought. You're not alone in listening. Every creature who has ever looked up, ancient humans painting constellations, sailors guiding their ships, children tracing patterns in the sky, has heard the same stories. The stars are a universal book shared across ages, across cultures, across lives. Their stories are not finished. Stars continue to burn to send light, to weave new tales. Some will end in supernovas, scattering their elements into space, seeding new chapters. Others will fade quietly, their glow dimming into memory. Yet even in their endings, they tell stories of transformation, of renewal, of the cycles that sustain the universe. You breathe slowly, letting your own story feel small against theirs, and yet connected. The stars remind you that your life, too, carries meaning, even if brief. Your light, your warmth, your voice are part of the same chorus. As you drift in this starlit meditation, you sense the story moving forward once again. Stars speak, but they are not alone. Around them, something begins to form. The worlds that circle them, the planets that will carry oceans, rocks, and perhaps even life. The stars are storytellers, yes, but the planets will become stages where those stories unfold in new ways. You close your eyes, ready to follow that next chapter, from the voices of stars to the birth of worlds. The stars sing across the night, their light carrying stories to your eyes, and within their glow, you feel the beginnings of planets forming, quiet stages waiting to join the tale. The stars have spoken, their light carrying stories across the dark. You listen to their chorus, and within it you sense another tale beginning, not in the stars themselves, but in the dust and gas that surround them. For every star there is a halo of matter left over from its birth, a cloud waiting to be shaped. Within these clouds, planets begin to form. You imagine drifting through one of these newborn systems. Around a young star, the light is fierce, the warmth intense. Yet beyond its surface, a great disk of dust and gas spins, stretched thin but wide. It is not orderly yet. The particles collide, drift and scatter. But slowly, gravity begins its patient work again. Small grains of dust touch and stick. At first, they are tiny clumps, no larger than sand. But collisions continue and the clumps grow. Pebbles become rocks, rocks become boulders, boulders gather into mountain-sized bodies. Each step is slow, measured not in days or years, but in millions of years. Yet with patience, worlds are born. You picture these worlds as marbles rolling across the disk, their paths guided by gravity. Some crash into one another, breaking apart only to gather again. Others find stable orbits, circling their star with steady rhythm. The chaos of collisions gives way to harmony, as order emerges from dust. The Earth itself was once such a marble, a gathering of rock and dust around a young sun. There was no ocean then, no forest, no sky. Only molten stone colliding bodies, endless impacts. Yet within that roughness lay the potential for everything: seas, mountains, trees, and you. You rest in this thought. From dust, a home is born. What seems fragile and small becomes strong and enduring. What seems chaotic becomes balanced. The patience of gravity turns scattering into stability. Imagine holding a handful of sand. To most eyes it is nothing, grains too small to notice, drifting, easily lost. But in the hands of the universe, even sand becomes a planet. The lesson is gentle and profound. Nothing is too small to matter, no beginning too humble to become great. You float among these forming worlds, sensing their silence. Unlike stars, they do not blaze, they do not sing in light. Their story is quieter, steadier. They circle their stars in calm orbits, their beauty hidden in their patience. They are not storytellers, but stages, waiting for stories to unfold upon them. Some worlds will remain barren, rocky spheres without air, silent forever. Others will wear icy coats, drifting far from their stars. Some will grow into gas giants, immense and swirling, too large for life but magnificent in their storms. And a few, just a few, will become habitable, balanced in size, in distance, in atmosphere, ready to cradle seas and skies. You breathe slowly, letting these images calm you. The diversity of planets is vast, but all share the same origin. Dust and patience. Nothing rushed them, nothing forced them. They became what they are by simply continuing, by allowing gravity to guide them into form. The orbits of these planets are steady, their paths nearly eternal. Each follows its rhythm, circling the star in silence. You imagine their motion as a dance, graceful and slow with steps measured in years. To human eyes, the planets seem fixed in the sky. But here, in your meditative drift, you see them moving, steady, unhurried, endless. This motion soothes you. Planets do not rush. They circle faithfully, again and again, without impatience, without doubt. Their steadiness is a reminder. Not all journeys are about speed. Some are about rhythm, about constancy, and about returning again and again to the same path, yet always continuing. The Earth, your home, circles the sun in just such a rhythm. Each year is one orbit, one step in a dance that has lasted for billions of years and will last for billions more. You are part of that orbit, carried with it, your life woven into its steady pace. You close your eyes and picture the planets as marbles rolling in silence. Their surfaces are bare, rocky, unshaped by life, but already you sense their potential. On some of these worlds, water will one day flow. On others, atmospheres will swirl. On at least one, life will awaken. The thought humbles you. The Earth, with its seas and forests, was once nothing more than dust, indistinguishable from countless other worlds. And yet it grew patiently until it became a home. This is the story planets tell, that from small beginnings, great possibilities arise. As you drift farther, you sense that the planet's story is not complete. They are formed, but still bare, still waiting. Something more must arrive, something that transforms rock into rivers, dust into oceans, stillness into flow. That something is water. You breathe slowly, preparing to follow the next chapter, the quiet arrival of water, the gift that will soften planets into worlds where life can begin. The planets circle in silence, steady and patient, and in their stillness, you sense the next arrival, the quiet gift of water, softening stone into seas. The planets circle their stars, steady and patient, bare in their silence. They are worlds of rock and gas, ice and dust. But something essential is missing. They're still stages without actors, landscapes without rivers, skies without clouds. And then, slowly, gently, water arrives. It does not come with thunder. It does not roar like storms. Instead, it arrives quietly, carried on the backs of comets and asteroids, tucked into their icy cores. These messengers drift through space for millions of years, wandering the orbits of suns and planets. When they collide with young worlds, they shatter, releasing their hidden cargo. Out of silence comes water, falling like a gift. Imagine a comet as a frozen traveller, wandering the dark for ages. Its surface is coated in ice, its heart locked with secrets of the early solar system. When it meets a planet, it burns brightly for a moment, scattering its treasure across the surface. Each fragment is a droplet, each droplet a promise. Slowly, patiently, these small gifts accumulate. Oceans begin not with floods, but with whispers. Drop by drop, ice melting into liquid, liquid pooling into seas. You drift in imagination above a young Earth. The planet is still rough, scarred by impacts, its surface a restless crust of stone and fire. Yet here and there, water begins to gather. First in small basins, puddles no larger than ponds, then in valleys where streams trickle, then in lowlands where lakes spread. Finally, oceans appear, wide and deep, reflecting the light of the sun in shimmering blue. The transformation is quiet but profound. Rock softens under the presence of water. Volcanoes cool, valleys are carved. The planet breathes differently now, its surface smoothed and sculpted by the gentle persistence of liquid. What was once only dust and stone becomes a canvas for life. Water is unlike any other substance. It flows, adapts, transforms. It can be solid, liquid, or gas, shifting easily between states. It carries heat, dissolves minerals, shapes landscapes. It is patient but unstoppable. A drop can wear down a stone if given enough time. An ocean can cradle continents, shaping their edges with waves. You rest in the thought that water is both delicate and powerful. It falls as rain, soft and silent, and yet it can carve canyons deeper than mountains. It freezes as ice, clear and still, and yet it can grind valleys beneath glaciers. It evaporates into mist, nearly invisible, and yet it carries clouds across entire skies. Water is the quiet architect of worlds. The oceans spread wider. Their surfaces ripple in sunlight. Their depths swirl in shadow. Beneath their waves, currents form, carrying warmth and nutrients from place to place. The planet, once static, now flows. Motion begins, cycles begin. Clouds rise, rain falls, rivers run, seas swell. The hydrologic cycle, though unseen, becomes the heartbeat of the planet. You imagine standing at the edge of one of these first oceans. The air is thick, the sky hazy with steam. Waves lap against black volcanic rock, smoothing its edges with each touch. The sound is soft, rhythmic, eternal. You bend to touch the water, and though it is warm, it feels familiar, as though your own body remembers it, and indeed it does, for most of your body is water, the same molecules that once travelled on comets, that once fell as rain on newborn Earth. The thought comforts you. The water within you is ancient, older than Earth's mountains, older than Earth itself. Every sip you drink, every tear you shed, every drop of rain that touches your skin carries history, written in hydrogen and oxygen. You're not simply surrounded by water, you're made of it. Other worlds too receive water. Some hold icy oceans beneath their surfaces, hidden from light. Some remain dry, barren, their water boiled away or locked in stone. The universe experiments endlessly, each world carrying its own story of abundance or absence. But wherever water lingers, the possibility of life lingers with it. Water is not life itself, but it is life's stage. It dissolves molecules, allowing them to meet, combine, to react. It cushions fragile beginnings, shielding them from harshness. It holds heat, stabilizing climates, keeping conditions steady. Without water, the spark of life would struggle to endure. With water, the stage is ready. You breathe slowly, picturing your own planet in its youth. Oceans glitter beneath the sun. Clouds drift in the sky. Rivers carve their paths. The world feels alive, even before life awakens. Water gives it movement, rhythm, song. Think of rain falling on your window. Each drop is small, yet together they cover the glass, forming streams that flow downward. That is how oceans formed. Small gifts accumulating until they covered the surface. Think of a river smoothing stones. Each touch seems gentle, yet over years the hardest rocks are rounded. That is how valleys were carved. Water works not with force, but with time, persistence, patience. The oceans deepen. They cover most of the earth, turning the planet into a blue world. From space, the sight is dazzling. A sphere of water, clouds drifting above, continents still young and shifting. Earth has found its voice in water, a voice soft and steady like waves against a shore. And yet, even this is not the end of the story. Water has prepared the stage, but the actors have not yet arrived. The seas are full of chemicals, stirred by currents, warmed by the sun, cooled by the night. Molecules drift, collide and combine. Slowly, quietly, the first sparks of life will awaken here. You rest in the rhythm of waves, letting them calm you. You imagine their sound in your ears, soft and repetitive, like a lullaby sung by the planet itself. The water soothes you, cradles you, carries you. The story moves forward, gently. Oceans have formed, rivers flow, clouds drift. The world is ready, and deep within those waters something fragile will stir. The first cells, the first breath of life, waiting patiently in the silent oceans. The oceans ripple softly, patient and calm, and within their depths, in silence, the first breath of life begins to stir. The oceans ripple, wide and deep, their surfaces shimmering beneath a young sun. Clouds drift, rain falls, rivers run, and the cycle continues. The planet is alive with motion, yet it is still silent. No birds, no trees, no voices, no footsteps. Only waves, only wind. But deep within the waters something begins to stir. It happens quietly, almost invisibly. Molecules drift in the sea, carried by currents, warmed by sunlight, cooled by night. They bump into one another, collide, and sometimes cling together. Most of the time the collisions amount to nothing, but sometimes, rarely, the pieces fit. Slowly they form patterns, chains, spirals. They form the first fragile whispers of life. You imagine a shallow pool at the edge of a volcanic shore. The water is warm, laced with minerals and stirred by bubbles rising from beneath the crust. In this pool, molecules meet again and again, some breaking apart, others joining. With patience, a structure emerges, a cell, simple and small, but astonishing. This first cell is no more than a tiny bubble, a membrane holding fragile chemistry inside. And yet, it is alive. It can copy itself, divide and persist. What was once only chemistry becomes biology. What was once only matter becomes life. The moment is not loud, not grand. There is no fanfare, no sudden explosion of growth. Life begins like a whisper, like the first candle lit in a vast night. But once the flame is lit, it does not fade. It multiplies. One cell becomes two become four become 8. A pattern begins, a rhythm, a persistence. You picture these first cells glowing like lanterns beneath the water's surface, faint yet steady. They drift in the currents, carried by tides, clinging to rocks floating in pools. Their world is simple, but their presence changes everything. With them, Earth becomes not just a planet, but a cradle. The first breath of life is not air inhaled, it is the beginning of metabolism, the turning of energy into motion, growth and repair. Each cell learns to draw energy from sunlight or from chemicals in the water. They are small but ingenious. They find ways to survive, to adapt, to endure. You rest in the thought that every living thing, every tree, every bird, every person traces its lineage back to these first cells. The breath you take now is part of the same story that began in those oceans. You are not separate from them. You are their continuation, their legacy written in flesh and thought. Think of a seed planted in soil. At first it is hidden, unseen, but within it a spark waits. When it awakens, it does not rush. It simply grows, inch by inch, reaching for light. The first cells were like seeds in the sea. They did not rush. They did not need to. Their persistence was enough. You imagine watching millions of years pass in moments. The oceans fill with more and more cells. They multiply, cluster, evolve. Some learn to cooperate, forming colonies. Others find new ways to gather energy. Slowly the variety grows, the complexity deepens. What began as a whisper becomes a chorus, and yet it is still quiet. There are no forests yet, no animals roaming, no sound but the waves. The work of life is patient, unfolding over immense stretches of time. You breathe slowly, letting that patience comfort you. Life does not hurry. It unfolds when it is ready. The first breath of life also teaches you something profound. Persistence matters more than speed. These cells are fragile, easily broken, easily lost. But enough survive, enough endure, and endurance itself becomes creation. You think of your own breath now. Each inhale, each exhale is simple, ordinary, easily overlooked. Yet without it, nothing else can follow. Life's first breath was like that. Ordinary at first glance, yet the foundation of everything. From these cells, the long journey of evolution begins. But in this chapter, you linger with them in their simplicity. You picture them as tiny sparks in the sea, glowing softly, multiplying quietly, never stopping. Their patience calms you, their resilience reassures you. Life's first breath did not conquer the planet in a day. It did not seek to dominate, only to continue, and in continuing it changed the world. Oxygen would one day fill the air, plants would one day cover the land, animals would one day roam, all because these first cells chose simply not to fade. You rest in this lesson. Beginnings do not need to be loud to be powerful. The softest spark can ignite the greatest fire. The quietest breath can sustain the longest journey. The oceans continue to ripple, carrying their tiny passengers. The sun shines above, steady and warm, feeding their growth. Time flows on, and life flows with it, expanding, diversifying, dreaming. As you float in this thought, you sense the story shifting again. The first breath has been taken, the first cells have awoken, but life does not remain the same. It learns, it adapts, it transforms. Evolution begins its long, patient dance, shaping the endless variety of beings that will one day fill the earth. You breathe once more, deeply, calmly, ready to follow that dance forward. The first cells glow softly in the oceans, dividing, persisting, and in their quiet persistence, you feel the next rhythm begin. The long, slow dance of evolution. The oceans cradle life's first breath, the small glowing cells that drift quietly in their currents. They divide, they endure, they persist. For millions of years they seem unchanged, repeating the same rhythms. Yet within that persistence lies the seed of something remarkable. Life does not remain still. It learns, it changes, it evolves. Evolution is not sudden. It is not a leap from one form to another in a single step. It is a dance, slow and patient, guided by time and chance. Each generation carries tiny differences, most unnoticed. But some changes make survival easier. A better way to gather energy, a stronger wall to protect against the sea, a faster way to move. Those changes remain, carried forward, written into the story of life. You imagine this process as a slow tide. Each wave washes over the shore, leaving small traces behind. One wave alone may not change the beach, but wave upon wave reshapes the coast. Evolution is like those waves. Small changes repeated endlessly, sculpting life into new forms. At first, life remains microscopic. Bacteria and simple cells rule the seas, multiplying in uncountable numbers. They are invisible to the naked eye, yet their influence is immense. Some learn to use sunlight, capturing its energy through photosynthesis, releasing oxygen into the water and air. Slowly, the atmosphere transforms. What began as a barren world thick with carbon and methane now fills with oxygen, clear and breathable. This transformation takes millions of years, but you rest in its patience. Life is in no hurry. It is content to unfold at its own pace. You breathe in, remembering that the oxygen filling your lungs right now is the legacy of those ancient cells, a gift from the earliest dancers in evolution's rhythm. Then, gradually, new forms appear. Some cells join together, forming colonies. Within those colonies, certain cells take on special roles. Some gather energy, some provide structure, some reproduce. Cooperation emerges, and with it, complexity. From single cells come multicellular beings, simple at first but capable of growth beyond anything before. You picture the oceans glowing with new shapes, strands of algae drifting in sunlight, filaments stretching, sheets of cells weaving together. These are not yet plants, not yet animals, but the beginning of both. Evolution's dance is not random chaos, but a rhythm of trial and persistence. Each step is tested against the environment. Each successful step remains. Creatures begin to move. Tiny flagella whip, cilia beat, and cells drift with more control. Motion becomes part of the story, a way to find food, to escape danger, to explore. With motion comes interaction. With interaction comes diversity. The seas bloom with variety. Some beings grow shells, protecting themselves from predators. Others develop new ways to feed, to sense, to respond. Evolution is like a vast improvisation, each form trying new steps in the endless dance. You rest in the wonder of this creativity. Life is not static. It is endlessly inventive, finding ways to survive in every niche, every corner of the ocean. It fills the shallow pools, the deep trenches, the sunlit waves, the dark depths. Wherever there is water, there is life's rhythm. After billions of years, the Cambrian explosion arrives, a blossoming of forms so sudden it feels like a sunrise after endless night. Creatures with shells, spines, eyes, and limbs fill the seas. Trilobites crawl across the ocean floor. Worms burrow in sand, jellyfish drift like lanterns. The dance grows more elaborate, more vivid, more diverse. You imagine watching this unfold as if standing on the shore of an ancient ocean. Beneath the waves, life is teeming, bustling, vibrant. It is no longer invisible, no longer silent. The ocean hums with motion, with the endless creativity of evolution. Yet even here, the rhythm remains slow compared to human time. Species rise and fall over millions of years. Entire lineages flourish and vanish, replaced by new dancers in the cycle. Extinction is not an end to the dance, but a step within it, making space for new forms, new possibilities. You breathe gently, taking comfort in the patience of it all. Evolution teaches that change is constant, but it is not hurried. It unfolds with grace, giving life time to explore, to adapt, to thrive. From the oceans, some creatures begin to venture onto land. Plants grow along shorelines, their roots anchoring in soil, their leaves reaching for light. Insects follow, scurrying in the shadows. Amphibians crawl from water to air, their lungs learning to breathe. Each step is bold, but none is rushed. The dance continues, adapting to new stages. The earth itself hums with becoming. Forests spread, rivers teem with fish, skies fill with wings. Dinosaurs rise, then fade. Mammals emerge, small and quiet at first, then flourishing. Each age tells its story, each step adding to the rhythm of life. You rest in the thought that you are part of this same dance. Your body carries the traces of ancient forms, the structure of your bones, the chemistry of your cells, the rhythm of your breath. You're not separate from evolution. You're one of its dancers, continuing the steps that began in the sea billions of years ago. Evolution is often spoken of as survival, but here, in this quiet meditation, you sense its deeper truth. It is persistence. It is creativity. It is the willingness of life to adapt, to transform, to endure. That willingness flows in you now as surely as it flowed in the first cells, the first creatures, the first plants reaching for sunlight. The dance is not finished. It continues in every bird, every tree, every person, every breath. Life is still learning, still changing, still thriving. You're part of that living rhythm, carried within it, carried forward by it. And yet, even as evolution unfolds, another awakening stirs. From creatures that crawl and swim and fly, something new emerges, not just bodies but minds. Awareness begins to flicker, consciousness begins to dawn. The dance of evolution has given rise to thought itself. You breathe slowly, gently, preparing to follow that awakening into the next chapter of the story. The dance of evolution continues, patient and unending, and within its rhythm you begin to sense a new presence, the quiet rise of consciousness. The dance of evolution continues, slow and patient, shaping endless forms. Life has learned to adapt, to change, to thrive. The oceans are full, the land is green, the skies echo with wings. Yet within this abundance, something new begins to stir. It is not a new limb, not a new shell, not a new feather. It is something less visible but far more profound. It is the awakening of awareness. Consciousness rises like dawn, not in a single flash but in gradual light. At first it is faint, the dim awareness of sensation. Creatures feel warmth, feel cold, Feel the tug of hunger, the brush of water, the pull of gravity. Their awareness is not thought but response, a quiet knowing that guides them towards survival. Slowly, eyes evolve. Small patches of light-sensitive cells, able to sense brightness and dark. With sight, the world changes. Shapes emerge. Movement can be followed. Light becomes information. The universe begins to reflect itself inside tiny eyes. You imagine the first creatures who could see, however dimly. The glow of sunlight through water, the shadow of a predator, the sparkle of drifting food. All these became signals, guiding life with more precision. The world was no longer only felt, it was perceived. The faint dawn of consciousness brightened. Nervous systems grew more complex. Tiny threads of cells carried signals faster, coordinating motion, response, memory. With these systems, creatures began not only to react but to choose. They could flee, pursue, hide, seek. The beginnings of decision flickered in their movements. You picture a fish swimming in an ancient sea. It turns toward the shimmer of light that suggests food. It darts away from the shadow that signals danger. In its tiny brain, patterns fire, choices are made. It is not human thought, but it is awareness. A mind beginning to look outward, beginning to reflect inward. The rise of consciousness is not sudden, not singular. It is woven slowly like threads in a tapestry, each generation adding complexity. Memory deepens, learning begins. Parents pass lessons not only through genes, but through behavior. The dance of life acquires a new rhythm, the sharing of experience. Imagine a bird teaching its chick to fly, or a wolf showing its young the path of the hunt. These are not instincts alone. They are sparks of culture, sparks of mind, the beginnings of thought carried beyond the body. Awareness expands not only within individuals, but across generations. You rest in the wonder of this. The universe, which began as silence and light, has now given rise to creatures who can feel, remember, and learn. Matter has become mind. The cosmos has grown eyes to see itself, ears to hear its own echoes, thoughts to wonder at its own origin. Human beings will not appear for millions of years yet, but already the path is being prepared. Primates swing through forests, their hands grasping branches, their eyes forward-facing, their brains growing larger with each age. With them, self-awareness deepens. They not only sense the world, they sense themselves within it. The spark of I begins to glow. You pause in this thought, feeling the quiet enormity of it. The atoms forged in stars, shaped by gravity, carried by oceans, have learned to reflect. They have become aware. The cosmos is no longer only expansion, only energy, only matter. It is now also experience. Consciousness is often compared to light, and you feel why. It illuminates not space, but mind. It turns sensation into meaning, memory into identity, presence into wonder. Just as dawn turns a dark landscape into visible form, consciousness turns existence into lived reality. You close your eyes and feel your own awareness. Thoughts drift through like clouds. Sensations brush against your skin. Emotions ripple in your chest. This is consciousness, vast and intimate at once, an endless sky in which experience moves. And you realize, this awareness is the continuation of the same story. You are the cosmos looking back at itself. Some scientists describe consciousness as neurons firing, networks pulsing, chemistry in motion, and they are not wrong. Yet within that motion arises something greater, something unmeasurable by equations alone. The feeling of being, the sense of presence, the quiet knowing of self. You rest in this mystery, not needing to solve it. Consciousness is not only a problem to be explained, but a gift to be experienced. It is the most familiar thing you know, and yet the most profound. The rise of consciousness transforms evolution itself. With awareness comes imagination. With imagination comes possibility. Creatures can not only adapt to their environment, but shape it. They can create tools, shelters, societies. They can wonder, dream, reach for stars. The dance of life becomes a dance of mind. You imagine the first humans gazing at the night sky. Their minds, newly awakened, filled with questions. What are these lights? Where do they come from? What do they mean? In those questions lies the heart of consciousness. The longing to know, the hunger to understand. From that hunger will come stories, myths, science, art. Consciousness becomes not only survival but meaning. And yet even now the essence remains simple. Awareness is not only thought, it is also presence. To feel your breath, to hear a bird sing, to notice the warmth of sunlight on your face. These are consciousness, pure and immediate. The rise of consciousness is not only the rise of complexity, but the rise of simplicity seen clearly. You breathe slowly, letting your own awareness rest. Thoughts come and go, but you watch them gently like leaves drifting on a stream. This is consciousness. Not grasping, not clinging, simply noticing. It is the gift given to you by billions of years of evolution, by stars and oceans and cells. And as you rest in this awareness, you sense the story flowing forward again. Consciousness is not only about presence, it is also about perception of time. The mind does not only see the present, it remembers the past and imagines the future. In this way, consciousness is deeply tied to time itself. You prepare to follow that connection, from the rise of awareness to the strange and beautiful ways in which time bends, stretches, and whispers through the universe. Consciousness awakens, tender and vast, and within its gaze lies the mystery of time itself, a rhythm that does not always flow the same for every watcher of the cosmos. Consciousness has awakened, tender and vast, and with it comes the ability to notice time. You feel the steady pulse of seconds, the rhythm of breath, the cycle of day and night. For you, time flows forward, unbroken, carrying you from one moment to the next. Yet the universe holds a deeper truth. Time is not absolute. It bends, it stretches, it whispers differently to every traveller. This truth is called time dilation. Imagine two clocks, identical in design, ticking together in perfect unison. Place one on Earth, resting under the weight of gravity, and send the other into orbit, circling high above. When the clocks reunite, they will disagree. The one closer to Earth's mass will have ticked more slowly. The one in orbit will have ticked more quickly. The difference may be small, but it is real. Gravity bends time, slowing its flow where mass is strongest. You pause in this thought, letting it settle like a pebble dropped into still water. Time, which feels so steady, so reliable, is not the same for all. The seconds you live are not identical to the seconds of a distant traveller. Time is relative, personal, woven into space like a fabric that curves and shifts. Einstein described this fabric as space-time, not two separate entities, but one inseparable whole. Mass bends it, motion stretches it. Time dilation is the result. Clocks disagree, ages diverge, experience shifts. It is as if the cosmos plays a gentle trick, whispering to each observer, "Your time is your own." You imagine travelling near the speed of light. For you, inside your vessel, seconds pass normally. You breathe, you move, your heart beats in rhythm. But to someone watching from afar, your clock runs more slowly. Your journey takes years by their measure, but to you, it feels shorter. You return younger than those you left behind. Motion stretches time's fabric, slowing its flow for the traveller. The thought is both strange and soothing. Time is not rigid, not harsh. It is flexible, tender, responsive to where you are and how you move. It adapts to circumstance like cloth draping over a shape. You're not bound to a single universal tick, but carried in a rhythm unique to your path. Consider black holes, those dense hearts of gravity. Near their horizons, time slows dramatically. To an outside observer, a falling object seems to freeze at the edge, its clock ticking slower and slower. But to the object itself, time flows normally. It crosses the threshold unaware of the distortion. The difference is not illusion, it is reality, written into the very structure of space-time. You rest in this paradox. Time is one yet many, shared yet personal, absolute in direction, yet relative in pace. It teaches you humility, that your experience while real is not the whole. Others move through a different rhythm, and both are true. Imagine two twins, one remains on Earth, the other travels at near light speed and returns. The traveller has aged less. Their reunion is tender yet marked by difference. The twin paradox it is called, though it is no paradox at all, only the quiet truth of relativity. Time is not uniform. It is shaped by journey. You breathe slowly, letting this soften your thoughts. Perhaps it is comforting to know that time is not rigid. Perhaps it means there is room, flexibility, tenderness even in the fabric of existence. Time can stretch for you, cradle you, allow you to move differently than others. In daily life, you do not notice these whispers. The dilation is small, measured in nanoseconds, only visible with precise instruments. Yet satellites in orbit must account for it, adjusting their clock so that GPS remains accurate. Without Einstein's insight, your phone could not guide you home. Even in your ordinary life, time's flexibility shapes your path. You picture time as a river, flowing steady and sure. For most travellers, the current feels smooth, uniform, but gravity places stones in the stream, slowing the flow near them. Motion bends the channel, changing its pace. Each traveller moves with the current as they feel it, unaware that others drift at a slightly different rhythm. This thought eases you. Time is not a strict ruler striking against stone. It is a river, soft and adaptable. You're carried by it, yet it allows variation, difference, individuality. Your journey is your own, and yet it remains part of the whole. Consciousness allows you to sense this more deeply. You're aware not only of the present moment, but of memory and anticipation. You see time as past, present and future. But physics reveals that these divisions are fluid. What you call now is not universal. For another, moving differently, now is shifted. The universe does not hold one single present, but countless overlapping perspectives. You close your eyes and feel your own present moment. Your breath, your heartbeat, the sound around you. This is your now, and yet across space, someone else's now is different, stretched or compressed by gravity and motion. Together, all these moments weave the full fabric of existence. The whisper of time dilation reminds you of relativity in your own life. Two people may live the same hours, yet feel them differently, one rushing, one resting. Time is not only physics, it is perception. The laws of the cosmos echo in your own experience. You rest in this awareness, calm and unhurried. The flow of time is not a trap, but a gift, flexible and varied. Your moments are yours, unique, precious, carried on a fabric that bends but does not break. And as you linger in this thought, you sense the story moving forward again. Time has bent, whispered, stretched. But now, your mind turns toward another mystery, entropy, the arrow of time itself. If time can flow differently for each observer, why does it always move forward, never back? Why does order give way to disorder, stars to dust, life to silence? You breathe gently, ready to follow the arrow deeper into the mystery of change. Time bends and stretches, whispering differently to each traveller, and yet always it flows forward, carrying with it the quiet riddle of entropy. Time bends and stretches, whispering differently to each traveller, yet no matter how it curves, no matter how clocks disagree, time always moves in one direction. You cannot unburn a flame, unmix cream from coffee, or gather smoke back into a candle. The reason is entropy, the arrow of time. Entropy is a measure of disorder, of randomness. It is not chaos in the sense of noise or violence, but a gentle truth. Systems drift from order to disorder, from structure to scattering. Imagine a sandcastle on the shore. Carefully built, it stands tall for a moment, but waves come, wind blows, grains shift. The castle erodes. Left alone, it never rebuilds itself. This is entropy at work, the quiet push toward disorder. You picture a glass falling to the floor. It shatters, shards scattering across the ground. Could the shards reassemble into a glass, leaping back together in perfect form? Physics does not forbid it entirely, but the probability is so impossibly small that it may as well be zero. Entropy makes the forward direction overwhelmingly favoured. This is why you remember the past but not the future. Memory is the mind's record of order becoming disorder, of events unfolding. You cannot recall tomorrow, because entropy has not yet carried the system there. The arrow of entropy gives time its one-way flow, yet entropy is not harsh. It is natural, patient, inevitable. Stars burn their fuel, releasing energy into space. Heat spreads from hot to cold, never the reverse. Systems seek equilibrium, balance, rest. You feel it in your own body too. Warmth dispersing, energy flowing, cells aging. Entropy is not enemy, it is rhythm. The universe itself began in extraordinary order. The Big Bang's initial state was smooth, dense, low in entropy. Since then, entropy has been increasing, scattering matter into galaxies, stars and planets, then scattering those into dust again. This increase gives the universe its story, its unfolding. Without entropy, there would be no direction, no progression, no narrative of past to future. You breathe into this thought, realizing that entropy is not only decay, it is also creation. A star burns, increasing entropy, but in doing so it forges elements. A living body metabolizes food, dispersing energy, but in doing so it sustains thought, motion, love. Entropy's increase is not destruction alone, it is transformation. Think of autumn leaves falling. A tree, once green and full, lets its leaves scatter to the ground. The leaves decay, return to soil, feed new growth. Entropy rises, but so too does renewal. The arrow of time points forward not to emptiness, but to change. You imagine entropy as a soft wind blowing across the universe. It does not rush, it does not rage. It moves steadily, carrying systems toward balance, scattering patterns into wider forms. That wind is why stars fade, why heat cools, why life ages. But it is also why rivers flow, why fire warms, why breath carries energy through your body. Without entropy, nothing would happen at all. You rest in the paradox. Entropy both creates and dissolves. It gives time direction, yet it takes away order. It fuels life, yet it ensures mortality. It is the quiet balance of change, the inevitability of transformation. Scientists sometimes say entropy measures information, how spread out, how uncertain, how scattered a system is. The more entropy, the less specific the arrangement, the more the details blur. You think of a library where books are neatly shelved, low entropy. Now imagine the books scattered across the floor, pages mixed, covers misplaced, high entropy. Over time, the scattering increases and order is lost. Yet even in the scattering, new patterns can arise. A child builds a fort from fallen books. A poet finds a page that inspires. Disorder is not the end of meaning. Your own body follows entropy's path. Cells divide, repair, age. Memories fade. Energy disperses. Yet while entropy ensures eventual stillness, it also gives each moment its preciousness. The arrow of time makes every breath unique, every heartbeat unrepeatable. Without entropy, all moments would blur into sameness. With it, each moment stands distinct. You breathe deeply, feeling this truth. The fragility of time is not something to fear. It is what makes the present tender. The arrow of entropy is the arrow of experience, the reason why memories matter, why love carries weight, why now is irreplaceable. As you rest in this awareness, you sense entropy not only in decay but in expansion. The universe itself is stretching outward, galaxies drifting farther apart. Space grows wider, colder, emptier. Entropy rises on a cosmic scale, pointing toward a distant future where stars burn out, energy evens, and the cosmos rests in silence. This is sometimes called the heat death of the universe, not fire, but stillness, where no energy gradients remain. The thought may seem bleak, but you feel its calm. It is not a violent end, not catastrophe, but a quiet settling like embers cooling after a long fire. The universe does not rage against entropy. It flows with it patiently, peacefully. You let this soothe you. Entropy is not enemy, but inevitability. To live is to be part of it, to dance in its current, to cherish the brief islands of order that arise in the flow. You are one such island, a body, a mind, a moment of improbable order held for a time before returning to the river. That return is not loss, it is belonging. And yet, the story continues. For even as entropy rises, the universe surprises. Out of scattering came galaxies. Out of galaxies came stars. Out of stars came life. Out of life came awareness. Entropy's arrow points forward, but the forward path is full of wonder. You breathe slowly, sensing that the next chapter lies not only in entropy, but in what rises against it. The fragile, persistent spark of life that resists disorder for a time, building meaning within the flow. Entropy carries all things forward, scattering order into wider forms, and within that current, you feel the fragile spark of life resisting, holding its pattern against the tide. Entropy flows forward, scattering order into wider forms. Stars burn, galaxies drift, systems cool. Yet within that current, something improbable persists. A spark that resists disorder, holds its pattern, and continues against the tide. That spark is life. Life is fragile, and yet it endures. It gathers energy, builds structure, repairs itself. Cells, the smallest units of life, are constantly at work, not simply drifting with entropy, but pushing back, maintaining balance. Proteins fold, DNA repairs, membranes filter. Every heartbeat, every breath, every thought is an act of defiance against disorder. You imagine a candle in the wind. The flame flickers, vulnerable, but it does not go out. It draws fuel, it holds its shape, it continues to glow. Life is like that flame, delicate yet persistent. For billions of years it has burned on Earth, through cataclysm and calm, extinction and renewal. To live is to hold order in a world that tends toward disorder. You feel this truth in your own body. Every second your cells fight entropy, using energy from food and sunlight to repair, to grow, to endure. Without constant effort, disorder would win, but with persistence the spark is sustained. Life's spark is not separate from entropy, it dances within it. To resist disorder, life must consume energy, must transform matter. The spark is fragile because it cannot stop moving, cannot rest. The moment it ceases to flow, it fades. Yet, in its motion lies beauty, the fragile balance that creates growth, awareness, love. You breathe slowly, realizing that your very breath is this balance. With each inhale, oxygen fuels the cells that hold your pattern together. With each exhale, you release carbon, a byproduct of energy spent to sustain order. Breathing itself is the rhythm of resistance, the act of life continuing against entropy. Imagine the earliest sparks of life in the oceans. They were fragile beyond measure, tiny cells, vulnerable to heat, radiation, impact. And yet they persisted, dividing, repairing, multiplying. Their persistence carried them through billions of years, until they filled seas, then lands, then skies. All of Earth's abundance, forests, animals, civilizations, is the continuation of that fragile spark. Fragility does not mean weakness, it means sensitivity, delicacy, awareness. A spider's web is fragile, yet strong enough to hold prey. A flower petal is fragile, yet it draws bees and sunlight. A heartbeat is fragile, yet it carries a life. Life's fragility is not a flaw, but its essence. It reminds you to notice, to cherish, to hold carefully. You think of your own moments of vulnerability, times when you felt fragile, uncertain, delicate, and yet, in those moments, you endured. You adapted, healed, continued. You're not separate from the spark of life. You're its expression. Your fragility is your strength, the same strength that carried cells through oceans, forests, and time. Life is not endless. Entropy always wins in the long run. Every flame fades, everybody rests, every star burns out. Yet within that inevitability lies meaning. The spark burns brightly because it is brief. The fragility of life makes each moment precious, each breath irreplaceable. You rest in this truth. To be alive is to be temporary, but it is also to be luminous. For a time you hold order, you create meaning, you shine. That shining is not diminished by its impermanence. It is made beautiful because of it. Scientists speak of homeostasis, the ability of life to maintain stability within change. Your body keeps its temperature steady, balances its fluids, regulates its chemistry. This balance is fragile, yet it is sustained day after day, year after year. It is life's quiet act of resilience. You imagine the Earth itself as a vast organism, its ecosystems balancing, forests breathing, oceans circulating. Life covers it like a thin film, fragile and delicate, yet it has persisted for billions of years. Extinctions have come, catastrophes have struck, yet the spark reignites, reshapes, continues. The resilience of life is as deep as the fragility of each individual form. You breathe again, feeling the fragile rhythm in your own chest. Each inhale is uncertain, it depends on countless conditions being just right. And yet breath follows breath, steady, faithful, enduring, fragile but unbroken. The spark of life is not only survival, it is also creativity. From its persistence comes variety. Millions of species, each with its own form, its own pattern, its own beauty. From single cells came trees, whales, birds, humans. Each is fragile, yet together they create resilience, a chorus of life woven across the planet. You think of a meadow at dawn. Each flower is delicate, each insect brief, each blade of grass thin, yet together they form abundance. Fragility multiplied becomes strength, becomes resilience. Life's persistence is not in the immortality of one form, but in the renewal of many. And within that renewal, consciousness arises. Minds emerge, awareness grows, meaning is created. Fragile sparks become not only survival, but stories, songs, love. You rest in the thought that even awareness, as delicate as it feels, is part of life's resilience, part of its enduring spark. The arrow of entropy continues always forward, but within its current life dances, holding its fragile flame. For a while, it delays disorder, builds order, creates beauty. When it fades, its energy returns to the flow, fueling new sparks. Nothing is lost. Everything continues. You breathe slowly, letting fragility feel not frightening but comforting. To be fragile is to be alive, to be part of the spark that has burned for billions of years. You are both temporary and eternal, both delicate and enduring. And as you rest in this thought, you sense the story moving forward again. For life's spark, though fragile, is deeply connected, not only within Earth, but across the cosmos. You begin to wonder, could there be sparks elsewhere? Could the universe cradle life beyond this world? You breathe gently, ready to follow that question into the next chapter. The fragile spark of life flickers gently, resilient yet brief, and within its glow you feel the question rising. Is this spark unique to Earth, or scattered like seeds among the stars? The fragile spark of life flickers on Earth, resilient yet delicate. It has endured oceans, ice ages, extinctions, and storms. From single cells it has grown into forests, animals, and minds that now look up at the stars. And with that looking comes a question as old as wonder itself. Is life unique to Earth, or does it exist elsewhere among the stars? You drift outward in imagination, past your planet, past the familiar sun, into the wider galaxy. Billions of stars surround you, each with its own family of planets. Astronomers now know that planets are not rare, but common. Nearly every star carries companions, some small and rocky, some immense and gaseous, some distant and icy. The variety is endless, and among this abundance the possibility of other sparks feels inevitable. You picture distant oceans beneath alien skies. Perhaps they glisten with water as Earth's seas do. Perhaps they shimmer with methane or ammonia or some chemistry unlike anything you know. Could molecules there combine into cells? Could those cells persist, repair, divide, and thrive? Life, as you know it, depends on water, yet the universe is full of water, in comets, in clouds, in icy moons. Europa, a moon of Jupiter, hides a vast ocean beneath its frozen crust. Enceladus, circling Saturn, sprays geysers of salty water into space. Mars, once dry and red, holds traces of rivers long gone. These are nearby hints, whispers that Earth is not alone in holding water. And where there is water, the stage for life is set. But life may not follow Earth's script. It could be stranger, subtler, different. It could breathe gases other than oxygen, thrive in temperatures far colder or hotter, feed on energies unfamiliar to you. The cosmos is vast, its creativity unbounded. If life has emerged here, why not elsewhere, in forms you cannot yet imagine? You breathe slowly, letting this possibility calm rather than overwhelm. The universe, so wide, feels less empty when you imagine it filled with other sparks. Perhaps on a distant world, creatures gaze at their own skies, wondering if they are alone. Perhaps their questions are the same as yours, carried on different voices spoken under different suns. Scientists listen for signals, faint whispers of technology across the dark. So far, no voice has answered. The silence may feel deep, but silence is not absence. Distances are immense, signals fragile, time unaligned. Civilizations may flicker briefly, their sparks too short to overlap with ours. Or perhaps they are there, but beyond your hearing. You rest in the uncertainty, finding comfort in it. The question need not be answered to carry meaning. To wonder is enough. To hold the possibility in your mind like a candle. The cosmos becomes more alive simply because you ask. You picture exoplanets, worlds discovered circling distant suns. Some are Earth-like in size, orbiting in zones where water could flow. Others are giant and stormy, inhospitable to life as you know it. Yet even in the most unlikely places, life could surprise. On Earth, it thrives in boiling springs, in frozen glaciers, in deep ocean vents where no sunlight reaches. If life can persist here, perhaps it can persist anywhere. The thought softens you. Life is not fragile only, it is resilient, adaptable, inventive. The spark finds ways to endure. Perhaps it endures elsewhere, hidden for now, waiting for discovery. And even if life exists only here, that uniqueness carries weight. It makes Earth not just a planet but a sanctuary, a rare cradle in a silent cosmos. To know that your world holds the only spark would make its care all the more sacred. You breathe with this duality. Life may be everywhere, or it may be rare. Both possibilities are awe-inspiring. Both remind you of your place in the story, a listener, a wanderer, a participant in the fragile spark. The question of life beyond Earth is not just about science. It is about longing, connection, belonging. When you gaze at the stars, you're not only looking outward, you're also looking inward, searching for echoes of yourself, for kinship across the void. The universe feels vast, yet not empty. Its silence is not loneliness, but potential. Its darkness is not absence, but canvas. Into that canvas your imagination paints possibilities, other oceans, other forests, other minds. And as you rest in this wondering, you sense the story moving forward again. For whether life exists beyond Earth or not, the search itself transforms you. It reminds you of fragility, of resilience, of belonging. It calls you to look not only outward, but inward, to care for the spark you already hold. You breathe once more, gently, ready to follow that call into the next chapter. The awareness of Earth itself as a living whole. You have drifted far in imagination, asking whether life exists beyond Earth. Stars shone, planets glimmered, silence stretched wide. Yet now your attention returns, softly, to the place beneath your feet. You look again at Earth, and you do not see only land, sea and sky. You begin to sense it as one living whole. The idea is not new. Ancient traditions spoke of Earth as mother, as spirit, as body. Modern science gives it another name, the Gaia hypothesis, which imagines Earth as a self-regulating system, almost like an organism. Forests, oceans and atmosphere are not separate parts, but organs working together to keep balance. The planet breathes, circulates and renews itself. You close your eyes and picture this body. The forests are its lungs, drawing in carbon, releasing oxygen. With each inhale of photosynthesis, Earth fills its atmosphere with breath. The oceans are its veins, carrying heat and nutrients across the globe. Currents flow like blood, transporting warmth from equator to pole, keeping climate steady. The skies are its skin, shielding life from radiation, holding warmth close, protecting what lies beneath. In this vision, mountains are bones, rivers are arteries, clouds are sweat. Volcanoes are the planet's fire, releasing heat from its inner core. Earth trembles, grows, shifts and heals, not as lifeless rock, but as a living whole. You feel yourself part of this body. The oxygen in your lungs was made by forests and algae. The water in your veins was cycled through oceans and clouds. The minerals in your bones came from mountains ground into soil. You're not separate from Earth's body. You're one of its cells, living and moving within it. This thought soothes you. Just as a single cell cannot survive apart from the body, so too you are sustained by Earth's wholeness. Every breath you take, every sip of water, every bite of food is a gift from its systems. The planet does not provide reluctantly, it gives continuously, as naturally as your heart pumps blood. You picture the forests more clearly, leaves spread wide catching sunlight. Through tiny pores they inhale carbon dioxide, the breath of creatures, and exhale oxygen, the breath of life. Each tree is an individual, yet together they are lungs, covering continents, breathing in rhythm with seasons. In summer they inhale deeply, filling the air with oxygen. In winter they exhale, resting, conserving. This global breath continues year after year, age after age. The oceans too are alive with motion. Currents swirl like great arteries, carrying warmth from tropics to poles, preventing extremes. Plankton float near the surface, tiny yet abundant, producing oxygen as they drift. Coral reefs bloom like the planet's coral tissue, fragile but vital, home to countless species. The ocean is not only water, it is life's bloodstream, carrying energy, sustaining abundance. And above, the skies stretch like a protective skin. The atmosphere filters sunlight, shields from harmful rays and holds warmth close like a blanket. Without it, Earth would freeze. Within it, clouds form, rain falls, storms gather and dissipate. The sky is not empty. It is alive, circulating, adapting, changing. You breathe slowly, imagining this whole body around you. Earth is not inert rock. It is dynamic, responsive, self-regulating. It keeps temperatures within range, balances gases, renews nutrients. Like any living being, it adapts, heals, and sometimes struggles. Life on Earth is not separate from this body. It is part of it. Creatures breathe the oxygen forests give, drink the water oceans circulate, rest beneath the protection of skies. In return, life reshapes Earth. Plants stabilizing soils, animals spreading seeds, microbes recycling nutrients. The relationship is mutual, a conversation unspoken yet unbroken. You rest in the thought that you, too, are a participant in this wholeness. Every breath you take is a dialogue with forests. Every sip of water is a conversation with rivers. Every meal is an exchange with soil, sun, and seed. To live is to belong, not apart but within. This awareness can bring tenderness. To harm Earth's body is to harm yourself, for you are woven into it. To care for it is to care for yourself, for your well-being is inseparable from its balance. You picture Earth from space. The famous blue marble, delicate against black. From afar, no borders are visible, no divisions, only one whole, swirling with white clouds, glowing with blue seas, green forests, brown deserts. It looks alive, breathing slowly, steadily. You see it as astronauts describe it. Fragile, finite, yet vibrant. You breathe into this vision, letting it settle. Earth is not only your home, it is your body extended. Its air is your air, its water your water, its soil your nourishment. You are not on Earth. You are of Earth. The Gaia hypothesis does not mean the planet is conscious in the way you are. Yet in another sense, Earth is conscious. Through you. Through every mind that reflects upon it. When you look at the sky, when you wonder about oceans, when you care for a tree, Earth becomes aware of itself through your awareness. The cosmos looks back at itself not only through stars, but through you. This thought humbles and comforts. You're small, one being among billions, yet you're also vast, part of a body that spans the planet. To breathe with Earth is to feel connected to something greater than yourself, to rest in belonging. And as you linger in this belonging, you sense the story moving forward again. Earth is a living whole, but it is also part of a greater system, the solar family of planets circling the sun. The next step in the story is not only Earth's breadth, but its orbit, its place among its siblings, its journey around the star that sustains it. You breathe once more, gently, preparing to follow the planet into its larger dance. Earth breathes as a living body, whole and complete. Yet when you step back farther, you see it is not solitary. It is part of a family, a collection of worlds circling one star. Each planet has its place, its orbit, its rhythm. Together they form the solar system, a home of many rooms, each unique, each vital. You imagine drifting outward from Earth. The first neighbour you encounter is Venus, glowing bright in the dawn and dusk skies. Venus is Earth's twin in size, yet utterly different in nature. Its surface blazes with heat, its air thick with carbon dioxide, its clouds swirling with acid. Once, perhaps, it may have held oceans, but now it is a furnace, a warning of fragility. Beyond Earth lies Mars, red and silent. Its deserts stretch wide, its mountains rise higher than any on Earth. Once, rivers flowed there, carving valleys and canyons. Today, traces of water linger in ice and whispers beneath soil. Mars feels both empty and promising, a reminder that worlds change, and that life may flicker even in silence. Farther inward, Mercury circles closest to the Sun. Small, rocky, scarred with craters, it rushes around its orbit in just 88 days. It is quiet, bare, without air to hold heat or protect against cold. Yet even this small world is part of the family, carrying the story of extremes. Then outward beyond Mars you encounter giants. Jupiter swirls immense, a stormy titan with stripes of cloud and the great red spot raging for centuries. Around it moons dance, some icy, some volcanic, some hiding oceans beneath frozen crusts. Europa, Ganymede, Io, Callisto. each a world in itself, a reminder that the solar family extends beyond planets to their companions. Saturn follows, encircled by its delicate rings. They shimmer like a halo of ice and rock, fragile yet vast. Its moons too hold secrets. Enceladus sprays fountains into space. Titan hides lakes of methane, a world both alien and familiar. The family of planets includes not only giants but their children, each adding to the richness of the story. Beyond Saturn lies Uranus, tilted on its side, rolling through space with a blue-green hue. Then Neptune, deep and stormy, winds rushing faster than sound. These ice giants hold mysteries, distant and cold, yet still bound in orbit around the sun's warmth. And even farther at the edges lie smaller siblings, dwarf planets like Pluto, Eris, Haumea. Once thought insignificant, they remind you that family is wide, that belonging stretches even to the farthest reaches of the Kuiper Belt. You pause in this vision, letting the solar system feel like a home. Each planet is a room with its own atmosphere, its own climate, its own character. Earth is warm and fertile, Venus is fiery, Mars is dry and wistful, Jupiter is grand and stormy, Saturn is adorned with rings, Uranus and Neptune are cool and distant. Pluto and others are small and icy, yet still part of the whole. Together they orbit steadily, siblings circling the same parent star. The sun itself is the heart of this family, its gravity holding all together, its warmth feeding Earth, its light guiding life. Without the sun, the planets would drift apart, their orbits broken. With the sun, they remain connected, each finding its place in the rhythm. You breathe slowly, sensing comfort in this structure. Just as you belong to Earth, Earth belongs to this greater family. You are part of a chain of belonging, from cell to body, from body to planet, from planet to solar system. The layers expand, but the connection remains. Astronomers look at other stars and find their own families of planets. Some systems are crowded, with worlds circling close, others are sparse, with giants drifting far. The solar system is just one family among billions, yet it is yours, the one you call home. You rest in the thought that families are not defined by sameness. Each planet is different, yet each belongs. Diversity does not diminish unity, it strengthens it. The solar family shows you that difference is part of wholeness, that contrast creates beauty. Imagine drifting gently among the planets, pausing at each, listening to its silence, its story. You would hear no voices, no words, but you would feel the rhythm of orbits, the harmony of balance. The solar system is not chaos, it is dance. Each world moves at its pace, circling endlessly, keeping time with the sun. You find comfort in this dance. It is steady, ancient, enduring. Planets have circled for billions of years and will circle for billions more. Their patience reminds you that belonging is not hurried, that connection lasts. And yet, even as you rest in this family, you sense the story expanding once more. For beyond the solar system lies the galaxy, a greater community of stars, each with its own family of planets. The solar system is one home among countless homes, one song in a vast chorus. The solar system circles in harmony, a family of worlds bound by light. Yet beyond its borders, the story widens. Your sun, bright and steady, is not alone. It is one among hundreds of billions, each burning in the galaxy's embrace. You step back in imagination, and the scale expands. The Milky Way stretches before you, a vast spiral of stars, gas and dust, turning slowly, endlessly, beautifully. You picture the galaxy as a river of light flowing across the night sky. To ancient eyes, it was a path, a band of brilliance arching overhead. Today, you know it is not a single ribbon, but countless stars, so far away their light blurs into glow. Every point you see is a sun. Many of those suns carry planets. Each planet may carry stories. The Milky Way is not only stars, it is potential, abundance, possibility. You imagine drifting into its spiral arms, clouds of gas stretched like veils, glowing where newborn stars ignite. Supernovae flash like cosmic blossoms, scattering elements that will form future worlds. Star clusters shine like jewels, bound together by gravity, siblings born of the same cloud. Everywhere you turn there is motion, light, creation. The galaxy is immense. It spans 100,000 light-years across, so vast that light itself takes millennia to travel from one side to the other. And yet, despite its size, it turns as one. A slow rotation, stars orbiting the centre in graceful arcs. The Milky Way is both vast and whole, an organism of light, alive in its own rhythm. At its heart lies mystery, a supermassive black hole, Sagittarius a star. Invisible yet immense, it anchors the galaxy, its gravity binding stars in orbit. Around it, matter swirls and glows, a dance of fire near an endless silence. The galaxy's core hums with energy, even as its outer arms drift gently in darkness. You pause in this vision, feeling awe and calm. The galaxy is not chaos, it is balance. Stars are born, shine, and die, but the whole endures, generation after generation. It is like a forest on trees sprouting, growing, falling, and returning to soil, while the forest itself continues. You rest in the thought that you are part of this forest of stars. The atoms in your body were forged in supernovae, scattered across space, gathered into Earth, shaped into you. You're not only in the galaxy, you're of it. Your blood carries iron from ancient stars. Your bones carry calcium from stellar cores. Your breath carries oxygen born in the hearts of suns. You are the galaxy, aware of itself for a brief moment. This awareness humbles you. The Milky Way is not a place outside of you, but the source within you. To gaze at its stars is to gaze at your own origin. To wonder at its beauty is to remember what you are made of. You imagine drifting farther still, seeing the galaxy from outside. It shines as a spiral, arms curling like the petals of a vast flower. Its light is soft, its presence tender, floating in the dark of intergalactic space. Around it other galaxies gleam, Andromeda, the Magellanic Clouds, countless more, each its own family of stars. The Milky Way is one voice in a chorus that fills the universe. The thought comforts you. You're small, yes, but never alone. You belong not only to Earth, not only to the solar system, but to the galaxy itself. Its arms hold you, its stars surround you, its light cradles you. You rest in the rhythm of belonging. The galaxy is not static, it evolves. Galaxies merge, collide, reshape. One day, far in the future, the Milky Way will meet Andromeda, their stars blending, their shapes entwining. From that union, a new galaxy will be born. The cycle continues endlessly. Even in this immense scale, you sense the whisper of time, the arrow of entropy, the persistence of life. The galaxy, vast as it is, follows the same patterns you have seen in smaller things: birth, change, renewal. The scale enlarges, but the rhythm remains. You breathe deeply, feeling calm. The Milky Way is immense, but it does not rush. Its arms turn slowly, its stars endure for billions of years. Compared to it, your life is brief, but within it you hold awareness, a gift no star can claim. You are small, but you see the vastness. You are fleeting, but you understand eternity. Consciousness, fragile as it is, makes you more than a speck. It makes you the galaxy reflecting on itself. When you look at the night sky, when you wonder at the stars, when you feel awe, you are the Milky Way aware of its own light. You close your eyes and imagine lying beneath the real night sky. The Milky Way arches overhead, its glow stretching horizon to horizon. You feel its stillness, its age, its embrace. It holds you not with arms, but with gravity, with light, with belonging. The galaxy does not speak in words, yet it whispers in starlight. Its message is simple. You are part of me, and I am part of you. This whisper soothes you. You are not separate, not adrift, not lost. You are home, even in the vastest of scales. The Milky Way carries you, cradles you, and will continue long after your life has ended. That continuity does not erase your brief spark, it makes it luminous. You rest in this awareness, letting the galaxy's embrace calm your mind. Each star is a story, each orbit is a rhythm, each spark of life is a note in its endless song, and you are listening, part of the harmony carried in its arms. The story has travelled far, from silence to stars, from dust to life, from cells to consciousness, from time's arrow to galaxies, and yet it does not end. The universe continues, expanding, changing, whispering. There is no final chapter, only this moment, this awareness, this belonging. You breathe one last time into the rhythm of the Milky Way. Its embrace is endless, its arms wide, its light steady. You drift into rest, carried in its spiral, soothed by its silence, calmed by its eternity. The galaxy holds you in its arms of light, vast yet tender. In its embrace you rest, not at the end of the story, but within its unbroken flow forever.